Hey everyone, it's time for another reaction video, and this will be, without a doubt, the most requested reaction video I have ever done. Many of you saw one of the reaction videos I did fairly recently where Dr. Mike was in the Jubilee surrounded thing with the anti-vaxxers. That was fairly commonly requested, or a few people requested that, and I went ahead and did that, and that was a lot of fun. People seemed to enjoy that. And then a lot of you saw that he was actually in there again very recently, surrounded by RFK supporters. So a little bit of overlap there. The first one, obviously, all the anti-vaxxers are RFK supporters, but this time the talking points were, I imagine, very specific to RFK, although I think in the other one, at least one was about RFK anyway. So a little bit redundant, but they're going with this again. I actually want to let you guys in on a little secret. I haven't told this to anybody except like my wife and a couple friends. But the Jubilee surrounded people actually emailed me to potentially be the person in the middle for this episode. So I got the email. It didn't say, Dave, we want you to do this. They just said, we're shooting this one for about RFK this Sunday. It was like Thursday or something. And we want to talk to you to like potentially do it. And I said, oh, okay. So yeah, let's talk about it. So they weren't like, you're going to do it. So I imagine what happened is that they were weighing a few different possibilities and they ended up deciding to go with Dr. Mike again. So they actually didn't get back to me after I told them I'd be willing to have a chat about it. So no worries. I mean, I'm on their radar. Maybe they'll ask me to do another one at some point. No hard feelings. If anybody there's watching, I totally will do one. So hit me up for a future one. But I just thought that I just kind of had to share that tidbit because you guys all saw the previous one and everybody was like, Dave has to do a surrounded Jubilee thing. And I kind of agree. And so, you know, it could happen, right? They do know who I am and they did reach out to me. So, and a lot of you requested this, obviously. I got like 100 emails and at least 100 comments all saying that I have to react to this. And it's the holiday season. It's the giving season. So you know what? You ask and you receive, right? I'm here to give you guys what you want. And this one is even longer than the other one. So this is going to be this is going to be pretty rough. I'm starting this at 9, so it's not that late, but we're going to it's going to be definitely over 3 hours, 3.5 hours probably. We'll see. Speaking of the holiday giving season, I've got my little, this is kind of a holiday whiskey glass, I suppose. And I just have a little Suntory left, so I'm just going to polish that off because I'm not going to listen to 3 hours or, you know, well, an hour and 45 runtime of RFK supporters without something to drink. So we're definitely going to do that. Let's just have a little bit of this here. And so that's what we're going to do. I can't think of anything else that I need to say to cue this up. You guys know exactly what we're going to be watching, and you know roughly what's going to happen. They're going to say some insanely stupid things, and I'm going to get very increasingly angry as the video goes on. And yeah, that's what we're all here for. So let's get to it. We are going to start right now. Before we dive into the insanity, let's get a quick word from today's sponsor. As you all know, my relentless debunking attracts a lot of hatred from losers like this.
Professor Dave, I'm going to make that guy hang himself. I'm going to destroy their lives. I'm going to dox them publicly. I'm going to give their address away on live stream in front of thousands of people and have their lives be ruined.
Apart from attempted doxing by grifting psychopaths, I've also been exposing pseudoscience from RFK and his colleagues, which pisses off a lot of MAGA lunatics who wouldn't mind getting back at a stupid woke pharma shill. You think I want some jerk getting their hands on my phone number or home address? Definitely not. That's why I use Incogni. Incogni scours the internet for data brokers who collect and trade your personal information without you knowing. Finding them all and demanding your privacy would take forever, if they even comply, so why not let the professionals do it for you? Go to incogni.com/Professor Dave and use code Professor Dave to get an exclusive offer of 60% off. Incogni will find every last one of these data brokers and make sure that all your information, from your name, address, and phone number to social security number, medical data, and and even shopping habits remain completely private. The best part is that this activity is constant, so you can rest easy knowing that any new breaches that crop up will be dealt with swiftly and efficiently. And you can keep track of all this progress in your own personalized dashboard, which tells you the number of hits and how many they've been able to remove. Be sure to also check out Incogni's new custom removal feature under the Unlimited and Family Unlimited plans. This allows you to submit an unlimited number of specific links for immediate removal, for a level of protection beyond the standard plan. Keep stalkers away, stop employers from accessing your information without consent, you name it. So don't wait another minute. Go to incogni.com/Professor Dave and use code Professor Dave for a whopping 60% off. Incogni helps wipe yourself from the internet completely. They can't harm you if they can't find you. Click on the link below to claim your 60% off and get your personal data off the market.
Administrators have ballooned beyond any reasonable level. Pharmaceutical companies have no transparency. And instead of going after those issues, Secretary Kennedy's calling me.
Wait, 15. Hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Yes, 15. It says 20 on the thing. That's weird. I don't know what happened there. 5 people didn't show up, and that's weird that they wouldn't change the graphic to say 15. I don't know. That's weird.
My first rounded claim is that RFK Jr. is decimating public health and should step down as Secretary of Health and Human Services.
This is the nerdiest and most pointless interjection here, but I really wish people would start using decimating properly. Decimating means to reduce by 10%. So it doesn't mean like obliterate or complete. It means to somewhat slightly diminish. So he's definitely doing a lot worse than decimating. He's obliterating. Yeah, that's my little nerdy vocab interjection.
Hello there,
Hello,
Mike.
hello.
Dr. Mike.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
How do you feel about my claim?
I think your claim is absurd because we've got someone that is actually challenging, which is science. I mean, science is about scrutiny, not Orwellian obedience. And if we want to find the truth, we should always have both sides of the story and, check out both sides and then find what the truth is.
I love this, like, check out both sides. You've never learned any science in your entire life. You've never opened even like a high school science textbook. You know nothing about science, and you're trying to assert lies and pseudoscience above science. Science is not Orwellian, okay? It's just a bunch of knowledge that we've gathered over the centuries. And you're treating it as Orwellian because it's a threat to the ridiculous worldview that you've developed over the years, because you've been brainwashed by Bobby Kennedy and all of these other figures for decades now. It's just a really ridiculous way to look at science. I wish you could see how ridiculous you are.
That's interesting because in some ways I agree with your statement. We should absolutely be skeptical, and science is about proving our initial thoughts wrong. When we do research, for example, we try and look at not just our hypothesis of what we think is going to happen. We actually try to prove the null hypothesis. We actually try to design research that disagrees with us. So I'm curious why you think Secretary Kennedy right now is the correct pick versus what you claim to be the other side.
Let's put it this way. We had to live through the medical tyranny of COVID, and his organization, Children's Health Defense, was on the front line of pushing back against that tyranny. I was part of that. I did protests, and I started a rally in Beverly Hills that was very popular. By the end of the year, we had 4,000 to 6,000 people marching through the streets saying, enough is enough.
Great, you organized a parade of idiots. Congratulations. CHD is a propaganda campaign, is a propaganda organization that spreads disinformation about vaccines and other health-related issues. There was no tyranny of COVID. You have just fallen into a political narrative that you've been brainwashed into regurgitating. And this has mobilized you against your knowledge to put the absolute wrong people in power. You are a pawn in their game. I wish you could see how ridiculous you sound.
You know, they first, like Fauci, told us, oh, you know, the masks don't work. And then, oh, you need to wear a mask. And then it was 2 masks. So again, the goalpost just kept moving and moving. And we knew it was just baloney. I mean, anybody can smell a rat. And, you know, we just see a lot of the same pattern, like during HIV, for instance. Remember that Bactrim, the NIH and the government were demonizing this with doctors. And then we find out that it actually does help HIV. But they didn't want to cure because they wanted to push AZT, which made a lot of money for Big Pharma. Same thing happened during COVID. And we had 2 doctors here in California that had a 99% success rate, okay? It was Brian Tyson and George Fareed. And they had 7,000 patients that they helped. 99%, which is better than the COVID-19 shot, because
yeah, vaccines are not prescription medicine. Okay, so hydroxychloroquine doesn't treat COVID. I'm surprised you didn't start ranting about ivermectin. Of course, you went straight to the mask bullshit. Fauci or Biden, I don't remember who, had like one thing that they could arguably be criticized for because they said something about masks to prevent panic buying so that they could be in stock for medical professionals. Okay, a little bit manipulative, fine. That's literally, I think that's the only thing I can think of that you can criticize Fauci for. But no, it's like, oh, a little bit of a thing there, so I'm just going to believe every disgusting, despicable, profit-driven, money-grubbing fraud that comes my way. That tells me a story I like to hear. That's all that's going on. Yeah, that's it.
once we saw people taking those shots, we saw people dropping like flies.
No, you didn't. You heard lying asshole frauds on the internet tell you that that's what happened, and you believed them. That's it. People did not drop like flies. In America, there were 10 confirmed deaths from COVID vaccines, and they were all from the Janssen vaccine. And that product was pulled immediately when they found this insane. It was 10 people out of over 18 million doses that were administered. 18 million doses, 10 people died. Very tragic. Don't want to diminish that. The 10 deaths, very tragic. But we're talking about something that is less than 1 in a million cases, and those are the only confirmed deaths. So dropping like flies, you sound like a fucking lunatic. That didn't happen. That's a fabricated reality that you're buying into because you're a ridiculous person.
I feel like we took a lot of topics there and we tried to put them together, so it's going to be difficult for me to reply to you. Let's start.
But please try this time, Mike. I'm not. I was lenient with you last time. I am sure that you got a lot of feedback telling you to kind of just dial it up a little bit. Please do it. She just said that COVID vaccines made people drop like flies. Please fucking push back on that. Please.
Start with the idea of moving the goalposts.
Okay.
So, in science, we're always learning, right? As a doctor, the things that I recommend today will likely change in 10 years and 20 years because as knowledge evolves, we're going to make new recommendations. Is that fair to say?
It's fair to say, but this is months, okay? And we know that a virus is 0.3 micron. We see the holes in the mask. You really think that that's going to hold a virus? I mean, we see what virologists wear.
Yes, it does, because viral particles are not just floating around one at a time, isolated. That's not how viral transmission works, you fucking idiot. Viruses are transmitted in aerosol droplets, so they're little specks of water mainly, but then they're in there, and those are transmitted when you cough or sneeze or even just talk. They're little droplets, and the mask blocks those. Right? It's not like you go, and individual viral particles fly out like they're little fucking drones one at a time and steer themselves through the holes of the mask. That's not how anything works. The medical professionals wear them because they fucking work. And you can get a better mask or a not as good mask. It's true that there's varying levels of efficacy for the masks, but even a shit mask that costs like $1 is better than no mask, right? Because it blocks some stuff that comes out of your mouth. If you cough or you sneeze, how much of that is blocked by the mask? Fucking most of it. So you're reducing the viral load that you could possibly transfer. How the anti-maskers are as dumb as flat earthers. It's absolutely batshit insane that you don't get the fact that you transmit viruses when you're infected, when you go on other people, and if you have a mask in front of your mouth, it won't go because there's a mask there. What the fuck is wrong with you people?
It's like a spacesuit.
Yeah, so this is really interesting. I love that you point out the particle size. And you know, there's actually a unique principle with particle movements that the reason why N95 masks actually work quite well for the COVID virus, because even when something is smaller than the size of the mask, the pores within the mask, the way that those particles move actually makes them more readily captured by that mask. Isn't that interesting how sometimes what we perceive to be the logical answer sometimes can be disproven in science? And this goes to show in the same way that we made mistakes in the past.
Well, the reason why I'm bringing this up is because they were putting masks on people. So now bacteria is gigantic compared to a virus. We know that, right?
Yeah, they're larger.
And my friend, by the way, was a biology research professor at UCLA. So I've learned a lot from him. And, you know, he went to a very established school, Cambridge University, and that's what he dealt with. That's why he said, this is nonsense. So I'm going to listen to the experts, which is Dr. Elliot Hamoff, and look at, you know, people were getting sick and worse when they were wearing masks because they were forcing themselves to breathe the very bacteria that was dangerous.
So
You think bacteria is flying out of your mouth now? And you think that if you're infected, that if you rebreathe the virus that you're getting more sick? How fucking dumb are you? This is unbelievably insane. That's really cute that you have one friend who's a scientist who, that's anecdotal for all we know, is not somebody you know at all. But then you're also just like, what every scientist in the world says doesn't matter. What every doctor in the world says doesn't matter because I have one friend who says the opposite. And I could be lying about what they say. They could be a fucking idiot. There are scientists who say wrong things. So you happen to find one who says something wrong because you like people who say wrong things that make you feel better about the wrong things you believe. It's just nothing but anecdote and stupidity with these people.
So when I'm in the hospital and I'm treating patients who have COVID-19, for example, I wear an N95 mask. You think I'm wearing that mask to potentially make myself more sick instead of protecting myself from the patient who has COVID-19?
Well, I believe that you believe that it works, you know? I believe that you believe that because the medical industry, I believe, has been corrupt for a long time.
What makes it corrupt?
Well, there's an interest, you know, that people have special interest. You know, it's a revolving door. When you look at a lot of these NIH or NIAID, you know, these people have been funded by Big Pharma, and then they go in the medical industry. So to me, that shows corruption.
So if
It's just, it's never anything but this. And this is the ultimate irony, is this fucking idiot is now, all of these people are gonna start saying, well, CDC says this, FDA says this. Yeah, under the corrupt Trump administration and the frauds that have been appointed to those positions who are spewing state-sanctioned pseudoscience, now you trust the government, right? These people are defending RFK, who is the fucking head of HHS. He oversees CDC, NIH, all these institutions, and she's sitting there saying that we can't trust these institutions when formerly you could, and now that you can't because of RFK, she's here to defend that jerk and still spew this bullshit about, well, you can't trust the government, it's a revolving door, blah, 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 blah. Pharma is not a cartoonish Bond villain that is in charge of the galaxy. Okay, get over it. Get a new scapegoat. It's insane.
If someone is funded by Big Pharma, does that automatically make them corrupt?
Not necessarily, because there are honest people, but the fact that they censored, even Mark Zuckerberg was asked in the Senate floor if he was being coerced by the government to shut down free speech when it came to COVID. We had a friend who, her best friend died of COVID shots, 2 of them, and she had these huge boils all over her legs. And they sent her home. They did not report with VAERS that was that. They actually didn't want to even talk about it, which shows me corruption. Then I had a friend, Dr. Simone Gold, that was treating patients with early treatment, and the Master of Business Association comes to her, which doesn't have a medical license.
Okay. Wow. So free speech does not entitle you to spread lies on social media. Free speech means you can't go to jail for the things you say. That's what free speech means. There are terms of engagement on social media platforms. If you violate them, you can have posts taken down. You can be banned from those platforms. Those are private companies that can do whatever the fuck they want. Has fucking nothing to do with free speech. Number 2, your friend that died from the COVID shot? No, they fucking didn't. I'm sorry. I know that Mike and a lot of people would give you the benefit of the doubt, but no, they fucking didn't. You're lying. Boils on the legs. Go fuck yourself. You're a liar. And finally, Simone Gold, the heinous cunt who made millions of dollars fleecing idiots by selling them ivermectin to treat them for COVID, which does not treat COVID and caused thousands of deaths. This is exactly what I was talking about when I was debating Pierre Corey. Assholes like him, Simone Gold, these are the people who made a fortune by spreading lies that killed people. Thousands of people died because of Simone Gold, Pierre Corey. So you're here pretending to care about human life and the COVID vaccines that killed all these people when no, they fucking didn't. And you're championing Simone Gold, who objectively murdered people. She murdered people. She told everyone, hey, if you take ivermectin, you won't get sick. Or if you did get sick, it'll cure you. No, it fucking doesn't. So people sat there, waited for it in the mail, got worse and worse and worse. Sometimes orders weren't even fulfilled. She got millions of dollars and bought a mansion. They ended up going to the hospital weeks later in critical condition. Couldn't be helped. They died. She killed people and you're rooting for her. You're a moron.
And threatened to fire her, which she did. She got fired. That is called medical tyranny.
Okay, pause. You can vote it out. Sorry.
Okay.
Please.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Okay.
Yes.
Appreciate you.
Mike, please turn it up. Please turn it up. You're doing exactly what you did last time. Come on, man. You got to do it.
Hello,
Hello, sir. How are you?
Brian.
Pleasure, Brian. Nice to meet you.
So I have a few questions to start with, just because I want to make sure that we're actually debating the topic that you would like to debate. To say that he's decimating public health, are there specific measures that you would like to cover, to talk about, that you believe constitutes the decimation?
Yeah, so where do we start? In order to do good public health, in order for me to know what treatments are right for my patients, we need to do research. And currently, the NIH, the CDC budgets for research have been absolutely decimated by billions of dollars. In fact, I wrote down a few of them, if you don't mind me sharing, because I think it's valuable to talk about. So we're not talking in abstract.
Okay.
For research, we've terminated $3.8 billion into cancer, HIV, ALS, and maternal health, important subjects. The entire NIH CDC budgets have been cut in half. We've created an issue where in the Environmental Protection Agency for the Office of Research, we fired over 1,000 scientists who do that research to figure out if there's toxic pollutants that cause negative health outcomes. We've cut the CDC branch for environmental health tracking for lead and water safety. We've canceled NIH diabetes prevention program that ran for 30 years. And we've eliminated the Federal Newborn Screening Advisory Committee. So that's just a few of them.
Okay. So considering all of that, before, when we had all of that money, where did that get us? Look at the state of Americans' health, and you tell me that the public is actually healthy. What RFK is doing is he is saying enough is enough, something has to change. And
Enough is enough with the whole trying to cure people and keep people healthy and prevent diseases and treat diseases. Enough is enough. More people dying. We need children dying. We need children dying. We need children Kids aren't dying of measles and whooping cough anymore. Enough is enough. We need kids dying of those diseases. Jesus fucking Christ. Do you think Americans are healthy compared to what? Compared to 100 years ago? Yeah, we fucking are, because we have vaccines and antibiotics and all this shit. But no, he's going to go on some tirade just regurgitating all the bullshit RFK says about all this chronic disease. Yeah, there's chronic disease. There always was, right? And so I like that Mike talks about budget cuts, right? RFK is supposed to like be saving us from private interest. Well, why is he gutting and again, not decimating, much worse than that, cutting budgets in half, firing all these employees at CDC, FDA, all these agencies that are supposed to be protecting us? That's going to protect us better by taking away all the money for the things that are in place to protect us, all of the safeguards against industry. Of course, he's just going to blow right by all that, and that's fine.
And I will say this very politely, but I think that you have to be insane to say more is somehow going to get us out of the current public health crisis we have right now. Americans are fat and they are sick, and it is not getting better. And taking more and more money and continuing to flush it down the toilet is not going to solve the problem. We know what will stop cancer dead in its tracks. We know what will stop all chronic disease dead in its tracks. Do you know?
You know how to cure cancer? We'd all love to hear it, asshole. I guarantee that you don't even know what cancer is. Insane.
Know what it is?
Lifestyle changes?
Lifestyle changes. The American Heart Association has known about this for years. The most important predictor of longevity, risk of chronic disease, all-cause mortality is VO2 max. So why aren't doctors, why isn't the government creating a public health system that says, you know what, we're going to focus on VO2 max? Because even if we stopped every dollar we had, putting it into cancer research right now, and we took that money and we said, let's get people moving, let's increase their VO2 max.
Let's have mandates. Let's have mandates to force Americans to eat healthy and exercise. Is that what you want? That sounds like fucking tyranny to me, asshole. What the fuck do these people want? What do you want? You want to cut funding for all of the science you don't stand a shot in hell at understanding. You have no fucking idea what cancer is. And you want to talk about lifestyle changes that if the government tried to implement mandates about them, you'd be first in line to protest them. Tyranny, no, it's big government telling me what to do. None of you assholes want that. You don't want fast food outlawed. You don't want the government knocking at your door saying you got to do 10 burpees right now or you're going to jail. None of you want any of that shit. You're all fucking hypocrites. All of you.
Cancer is stopped dead in its tracks. So the question is, when is enough to admit that the system you are a part of has drastically failed Americans? And RFK Jr., by the very fact of how he looks in his 70s, does more to encourage people to live a healthy lifestyle and truly make America healthy again.
That's called steroids, you dumb piece of shit. He's a juicer. He is not healthy at all. He bathes in raw sewage and eats raw meat. That's why he got a fucking brain worm. He is not the paradigm of health that you are pretending he is. This gym bro mentality. Yo, man, just do a bunch of rip curls and you'll never get cancer. I'm a fucking idiot who has no idea what cancer is. Jesus Christ, man. Like, just learn what cancer is, at the very least. You have no idea what it is. You have no idea what the genetic markers are, what oncogenes are. You don't know what cancer is. Stop.
Very passionate. And I mean that with all sincerity, because...
I mean, I'm not trying to be an ass. Like,
I don't think you are. I know you might feel like it's coming off aggressive, but I actually think it's passion. And it's passion that I share. I think lifestyle changes are incredibly important. So in order to make these meaningful changes, in order to get people to eat healthier, to exercise more, that takes research dollars in order to figure out what programs work. Like in New York, in my home state.
Do you really think it takes research dollars?
Yeah, because...
It's really simple. It's sunlight, it's being active, it's having a healthy home environment, it's eating food that comes from regenerative agriculture. It's not rocket science. It is really, really simple. But I think that the pharmaceutical industry tries to complicate it to make people question it so that they run to their doctor. And I'll be very frank with you.
What the fuck does pharma have to do with exercise? Are pharma executives taking out advertisements telling people, oh, you know what, you shouldn't exercise because if you exercise, you're gonna get sick. What the fuck are you talking about, man? None of this shit has anything to do with pharma or NIH or anything. Go exercise. If you can get all your friends to, if you can find all the obese people and inspire them to exercise and eat better, fucking great. I'll give you a medal. What the fuck does this have to do with anything regarding RFK or HHS or any of it? What?
I think that you have great intentions. I really do. And I'm really glad that it's you sitting here, because I think part of the reason why these discussions get so heated is because both parties start thinking that the other party has bad intentions.
Sure.
I just think that you are a bit confused about where we should be putting our emphasis and putting our money.
Nobody thinks you have bad intentions. You're just dumb. You're just a dumb person that has no idea what you're talking about. That goes for everybody in the room. I don't think, I mean, we have yet to hear from everybody, but it's not about having bad intentions. You just have no fucking idea what you're talking about, but you've been convinced that you do by assholes like Bobby and everyone in the Rogan sphere that I'm sure that you worship, or whoever the fuck your little podcast heroes are. You are the problem, dude. Okay? Not pharma.
So the difficulty, I know it sounds easy to say, let's get people moving, let's get people eating healthy. So I work at a community health center.
Mm-hmm.
It's near impossible to change behaviors as simply as you put it. I've launched a program during my residency program where I, as a physician, exercised with my patients. I brought them in to try and see if spending time with your doctor, exercising, getting them to do it safely was a way to get them motivated. And we saw some successes, but in order to have done that, we need to scale that, we need to trial that to see ultimately how behaviors change. For example, you've seen research where people say, if you give people a step counter and they walk 10,000 steps a day, they're healthier. Well, yeah, if you walk more, you move more, you're healthier. But when we actually looked at long-term research of getting people step counters, it didn't change behavior.
So you've literally just contradicted yourself. And unless you're saying we need to take that money that RFK Jr. is cutting from the budget and we need to spend it on the approaches that we know work, then all you're doing is just supporting the system as is.
Did he take half the budget and make it for exercise?
Well, personally, I don't think that that's the government's role. And the reason why, the reason.
Then what are you complaining about? If it's not the government's role to dictate how people live their life and exercise and whatnot, then what the fuck are you doing in that chair and what are you whining about? You are the one contradicting yourself. Okay, Mike is telling you that it's not so simple to just go, hey, everybody, be healthy. And you're still there whining about the fucking NIH budget. What is wrong with you, dude?
Why I don't think it's the government's role is I'm going to tell you a story. And ultimately, this is what it comes down to, okay? I was in a halfway house in Newark, New Jersey, okay? I could leave the halfway house because I was technically still an inmate, and I could go to my job, all right? If I veered from that path, I could literally go back to prison, okay? But eating healthy was so important to me that I broke the rules, went to Whole Foods, and bought healthy food on an $8 an hour job that the halfway house took 20%, and I still did not make excuses, and I found a way to eat healthy, okay? Doctors, the federal government, it's never going to instill that in people. And I think that it's wrong to really place that responsibility on you. You do not have the tools in your toolbox to effectively change behavior. And whether it's ego, I mean, like, I think you're a good person.
What tools are we missing?
I think it's more societal and it's more cultural.
You just said the government shouldn't be a part of it. So when you say societal, how so?
The president would have more power right now with the bully pulpit than any form of legislation. And that's what I'm trying to say is that what RFK represents for so many people that support him, he represents a cultural shift that will have more power than any form of legislation. It's just like my political views. I do not believe in democracy. I believe in a consumerocracy. F the laws, f the politicians, f the legislation. They will fail us regardless of which party it is, okay? But right now, we could change the world if we all went out there and we made different consumer decisions. You don't have to have one president change. You don't have to have one law change. This goes viral right here. People start talking about a consumerocracy. The world changes. Laws, politicians, legislations will never have that power.
Yeah, see, here's the problem. Like, what he's saying is true, but he's just completely misdirected. It's true that consumer behavior can make enormous structural changes. It's just that he has no idea what he's talking. Like, he's like he's here. If he was sitting here going, I don't like what kind of food is available at the supermarket, and I think that we should collectively make a change about it, that's totally fine. You all go, hey, nobody buy, what's like a super, I don't know, nobody buy Oreo cookies ever again. And then Oreo cookies will stop existing. That because they aren't selling, so they'll stop existing. That's true. But he's sitting there and trying to dictate how scientific research should go using this same mentality when you have no fucking idea how science works. You don't know what it is. You don't know what scientists do. You don't understand science at a middle school level. It's just, this is what I see with these types is like they're angry. They're angry about injustice. They can't articulate what the injustice is. They can't articulate what exactly they think they should be doing about it or what kind of changes should be made. They just have no idea. They just know that they're getting screwed somehow. And then that makes them vulnerable to rhetoric from demagogues like RFK. That's it. It's every time. Hitler did it. Trump does it. All of these assholes do it. They just go, look at these angry people that are getting screwed, usually by me and my cronies. Let's spew some rhetoric to mobilize that anger and point it where we want it. And right now, what's in the crosshairs? Legitimate science. Legitimate scientists, anybody who upholds the scientific facts that get in the way of whatever agenda is held by those in power, right? Anybody who says climate change is real, get the fuck out of the way, you're fired. We're going to put someone in charge of the EPA who's a climate change denier, so therefore completely antithetical to the position that they're supposed to hold. Bobby Kennedy thinks that that vaccines cause autism, that all of this bullshit, right? He is completely antithetical to the concept of public health, so let's put him in charge of public health. And anybody who tries to uphold reality, just you're either fired or you're going to be slandered and doxxed and whatever the fuck. We're going to create this culture of animosity towards legitimate science, legitimate expertise, which this asshole has gotten caught up in. He's swept up in it, and he's big mad about scientists. He's big mad about those stupid jerk scientists wasting all the money when everybody should just be exercising more, which has fucking nothing to do with the government in the first place. Unreal.
You are trying to fight a problem with force when the solution is power. And we have to shift from that.
Can I ask you something real quick? Just because before we shift topics, I think it's important. A lot of what you're saying, I want to say back to you, and you tell me if I'm seeing your point well, is that individual responsibility here is more important than societal responsibility for keeping people healthy. I respect your viewpoint. Now, this is my viewpoint, and tell me what part of this you disagree with. I think individual responsibility is incredibly important. I try and instill that in all my patients. That exercise is important. I try all different strategies to try and get them individually motivated. But from a societal perspective, let's, for example, say we make a city more walkable. We make lighting more available, especially at night. We create more sidewalks. We make more parks. We create programs for kids to participate in after-school sports programs. Those are societal things that politicians can get behind. Don't you think that will make it easier for individuals to be healthy?
All of the money that you're advocating for, and you're criticizing RFK Jr. for cutting in the budget, none of that money went to those things.
When you,
if you
diabetes
told me,
prevention, how do you think we think about?
Yeah, the cut NIH budget didn't go to parks and after school sports programs. It's a fucking analogy, you meathead. Jesus Christ. God damn it.
About diabetes prevention.
well, let me ask you this. How many people have diabetes right now? Has the number gone up since that program's been in effect for the past 30 years? So the question is, when is enough enough? The definition of insanity is to do the same thing over and over again and expect different results.
Agreed.
It's
But
failed.
is it also
has
insanity to say, since this failed, better not do anything and cut it all together?
He's not saying better not do anything.
He cut it in half.
Okay, but is he doing nothing?
Yes.
No,
Tell me what
no,
he's done
not
to
doing
encourage
nothing.
people to exercise.
Okay, what about the law in Texas that he passed with, I forget exactly what it was, but he's going around, he's essentially using what would be considered his bully pulpit, and he's trying to inspire people and make cultural changes. And ultimately,
But
that's
he
going
can be
to
an
be
inspirational
more powerful.
figure and not be the head of Health and Human Services.
So it's really simple.
Yeah, he's not just like some jerk with a podcast selling supplements. He's the head of the fucking HHS, and he's demolishing public health. He is causing children to die. and you're whining about, oh, like he's all like jacked and shit, so people will be inspired to like eat better and get all jacked. Seriously?
Where has legislation gotten us? We take all of our time, all of our energy, and all of our budget, and we put it into legislation.
I agree, it's been ineffective.
And here's the deal. Whether you want to admit it or not, when you have something like pharmaceutical companies funding 70% of research,
do you think junk food is healthy?
No.
Do you think burgers and fries are healthy?
Not at all.
Why in the first month that Secretary Kennedy was put into office, he's sitting at a Steak and Shake talking about how brave it is that they're frying in beef tallow?
Do not. Well, first of all, putting fries in beef tallow actually is not unhealthy.
But it's not about whether or not it's unhealthy. Do you think sitting at a Steak and Shake, one of the leading contributors to our obesity epidemic,
I do not agree.
Or eating McDonald's on a plane with Trump. He didn't like that photo op, did he?
Agree. Was
that valuable?
I do not agree with everything that he's done. I also.
What do you agree with besides the Texas individual point?
I think that before he was getting into office, he was supporting regenerative agriculture. I think that regenerative agriculture has the ability to change the world. I find it comical that people drive Teslas because supposedly they're scared about global warming, and yet they eat vegetables, and they have no idea that there's 550 gigatons of carbon in the air from topsoil depletion, specifically related to vegetable row crop farming. There's only 350 gigatons related to the burning of burning of carbon fuels. We could literally stop all the carbon in the air, dead in its tracks, put it back in the soil in 1 year if we switched over to regenerative agriculture. Why isn't that being talked about?
Because he cut $15 million from the PFAS farm program to track PFASs, which are potentially toxic chemicals, on farms. He's cutting these programs.
Yeah, that's one thing that is hilarious to me is like everybody talks about like how RFK is like raging against the bad chemicals and everything. It's like, no, he cut regulations. He's making it easier for PFASs to get into all these substances and stuff. Like he is so antithetical. Like he just says one thing and does another. So even if you are into so it's like some of the shit that he says, like, okay, we're gonna, microplastics and stuff. Okay, sure, that could be bad. But he just says it. He doesn't do anything about it. He doesn't like fund research into microplastics. He doesn't pass any legislation to make it harder to put microplastics in things. He just says shit to mobilize dudes like this. And then does fucking nothing about it. He does not, there's absolutely nothing he's doing to make anything safer or healthier. And he's doing tons of things to make everything unsafer and unhealthier. That's the irony here.
Once
The
again,
EPA is losing their
the
research and development.
It goes back to the consumer.
But how can the
If
consumer know about the
makes
farm?
different choices. What do you mean? How can the consumer? Like I said, I was in a halfway house. Okay, I had everything against me, and I still found a way because I believed in it.
But what if that Whole Foods that you went to had toxic foods in it?
Against me.
But what if
But it didn't.
Pause. I'm sorry, even
Dr.
Sure,
Mike,
I appreciate you.
But it didn't. I don't know what the fuck is in any food. I have no idea what I'm talking about. But Whole Foods is awesome because Jeff Bezos and it's all good. Yeah, everything he was saying, maybe there's a kernel of truth to something he said about the topsoil stuff. But the idea that regenerative agriculture will stop carbon emission dead in its tracks, what the fuck are you talking about? Do you understand what industrial CO2 emissions are? Do you understand that you have all of these plants all over the world dumping millions of tons of CO2 into the air? You think that change it, like do better farming, fine. I'm not knowledgeable about the thing that he was talking about, but this just does not do anything to reduce. I mean, climate change is a whole other topic that he got brainwashed into believing is not real, just like he got brainwashed. He's like, when you buy into this ideology, this reality denying ideology, you're going to be a climate change denier, you're going to be an anti-vaxxer, you're going to be a transphobe, you're going to be all these fucking things because you have these people who have shoved this ideology into your brain and radicalized you, and this is what you get. Is this guy's like, oh man, I'm going to get Dr. Mike, I'm going to tell him about all my super awesome truth about the blah, 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 and you just got to exercise and blah, blah, blah. There's just millions of people like this. It's so bad. The situation we are in is so fucking bad, and I don't know what to do about it.
Thank you. Yep.
A little leap.
Hello, hello.
Nice to meet you, Dr.
Pleasure.
Mike.
Nice
How
to
are
meet
you?
as well. I'm excited to be here because, a lot of times when people do these debates, folks want to win. And genuinely, I want to learn from you guys and learn what we're doing wrong in healthcare that's impacting you. So I'm all ears.
I completely agree. It's not about winning, it's about getting to the truth. And I think we all can agree that we all want the truth. And that's why, that's one of the reasons why I support RFK, is because he supports transparency.
Okay.
And especially with like vaccines and healthcare and everything like that. Another thing about RFK is that he's working to get fluoride out of the water. Why do we have fluoride in the water in the first place? Is it for dental care? I think that's an individual thing. If you want strong teeth, you should probably just brush your teeth and floss. You know what I mean?
Oh my God, we're doing the fluoride thing. Okay. Is there, what else do we put in the water, and what would be the reason for that? Do we put other things in the water to disinfect it, to make sure that you don't get sick by drinking tap water? Is that an individual choice? Right? Should we just tell everybody, hey guys, we're gonna send you tap water that 100% will give you all kinds of pathogenic diseases, but we'll also tell you what you can buy to put in it yourself to make it safe to drink, because it's an individual choice, right? We shouldn't do anything to make the municipal water supply safe for consumption, because it's an individual choice, right? So your whole the foundation of what you're saying is insane. But also brush your teeth, floss, etc. Look, you can have fluoridated toothpaste. I did a whole video on this. This was a while ago. This was like 4 years ago, so I honestly don't remember most of it. But I do remember that there's a topical mechanism and a systemic mechanism. So you want fluoride in your circulation so that it can get incorporated into, certainly for children, can get incorporated into the teeth that have yet to come in. And then the topical thing. There are two different things. But yeah, water fluoridation is just one of these things that fucking mystifies me, that people make a fuss about it. It's bananas.
You know what I mean? You shouldn't rely on a government regulated system of our water system to give you good dental care. Like, I feel like there's ulterior motives.
Are you
know what I mean?
against government programs that try?
What is the ulterior motive? The government is trying to do mind control. Is that what the ulterior motive is? What are you talking about?
Try and help groups of people as opposed to just individuals?
Not necessarily. It just depends on what it is.
Well, because when we say in America that the chronic health diseases in children is going up, it is. And I think I agree with everyone here on that. Statistics don't lie. But one of those chronic issues is dental disease. So if we can do something,
can be improved by that. I think parents should stop giving their children so much sugar. Or maybe we should look at the food industry and ask why there's so much sugar in absolutely everything.
Can you walk and chew gum at the same time?
Are you going to bring up correlation?
No.
Yeah, you can walk and chew gum at the
So
same
you
time.
can do both things. Like, why can't we encourage patients and parents to not overfeed their kids added sugars
We can.
and make government programs that improve children's health?
But there's no point
Like, this is what is so hilarious. Like, you're flipping out that the government is putting fluoride in the water for your benefit, for your dental health. You want them to not do that, but you want to have a conversation about, well, why is everyone eating so much sugar? So do you want the government to do that? Do you want the government to regulate how much sugar people eat? Is that the kind of authoritarian government overreach that you want? Like, the hypocrisy with these people, I just can't wrap my head around it. Like, what do you want the government to do about how much sugar people are eating? Tell me. I want all of you people to tell me what you would like for the government to, and I'll skip right to the punchline. The answer is nothing. You don't want them to do anything, obviously. You don't want them to put fluoride in the water. You don't want them to put chlorine or whatever substances are in there that are killing pathogens that will get you sick. You don't want the government to do anything. You would prefer to get sick and die. So why the fuck are you whining about sugar? And why aren't we doing anything about all the sugar people are eating? Tell me.
like, why would I want water with an extra ingredient if I could just have pure water? You know what I mean? Why?
It's not pure water. It's not pure H2O coming out of the faucet. There's shit in there that kills pathogens so you don't get sick. It's not. Also, by the way, drinking pure H2O is bad for you. It's bad for you because it changes the fucking solute balance with cells. It's a thing. I forget what it's called. But water would fuck up the balance. It would, water yeah, too much water would go into the cells. You know, fucking, yeah, osmosis and shit. But, so it's not pure water. You don't want pure water. That would actually be bad for you. Like, it's just a fucking mess. You have no idea what you're talking about.
Why would I need a government organization?
Well, you can
to
buy
put
water
a
without
chemical-
fluoride
But
in
why
it.
should I have to buy it? I think water, obviously, nothing's free, but like water without chemicals should be free to get. If I want to drink out
Water without chemicals. What the fuck would water without chemicals be? I'll tell you what it would be. It'd be fucking nothing, because water is a chemical. The more you know.
out of my faucet, I should be able to do that without having fluoride in it, without having to worry about fluoridosis or any other, like, you know, over fluoridation, you know, in my body.
You should not be worried about over fluoridation and fluoridosis, because that can't happen, because the amount of fluoride is regulated. It's like 0.8 ppm or ppb. I don't remember exactly. It's very little. There's very little fluoride in there. It's just enough to give you the appropriate benefits. You would need to have like 50 or 100 times more to be where okay, maybe 20. No, I think it's like 20 actually. I think that's the right number. You can feel free to double check me, but I need to have a lot more fluoride in there to be worried about any of these effects. Okay?
Why would I not be
And you're
privy
against
to that?
buying a filter to get rid of
I'm not against that, but why should I have to go out and buy that?
Well, because everything,
know what I mean?
everything in healthcare or public health always has a trade-off. Like if I'm giving anyone any medication, any therapy, there's always risks and benefits. So when we think about the benefit of putting fluoride in water in order to get kids to have healthier teeth, we think about the impact on the general population. And in fact, you're right. There's been some research that shows people who have high levels of fluoride, especially children, actually this doesn't apply to adults at all, but only for children, they can have neurologic issues.
Exactly.
However, it's very important to look at the numbers and the areas that were studied, because certain areas, like in Asia, they have naturally very high levels of fluoride, not added by the government, natural occurring fluoride. And those numbers are quite high. So it really depends on what that number is and what that safe number is.
The thing about Asia is if that's naturally in the water, then people from Asia are naturally adapted to that, which means it wouldn't like
So if
affect
you move
them.
They're from Asia, so their bodies magically can handle 50 times more fluoride. Holy shit, man. Hold on, I gotta read this. Yeah, I mean, okay, first of all, I'm sure that she is like not even aware that that there's naturally fluoridated water. Like there are springs of water that have way more fluoride than we put in the municipal water supply. Move to regions where local water consistently yeah. Yeah, this whole like Asians are adapted to more fluoride. What the fuck are you talking about? You have to be kidding me.
to Asia, you would have neurologic issues?
If you said it didn't apply to adults, then maybe not, because
I mean, as a child.
As a child, probably. If you're not from that area, your body's not adapted to that, which means if there's studies shown that people who have high levels of fluoride in their body have neurological issues, then yeah, I'm sure that they would.
Well,
but also, on another note, hold on one second. On another note, why? Because if there's fluoride in the water and fluoride in the toothpaste and chemicals in our food, there comes a point where these things start stacking up. And I would much rather have kids with cavities than kids with neurological issues. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
That's a false choice. You're not choosing kids with neurologic disease or cavities. That's not really the two choices you're making when you're making that decision.
So then what's the choice?
So I guess my question to you is, when you say chemicals, like oxygen's a chemical, water's a chemical. So how do I am trying to really get down to the core of your argument to better understand you. I'm not trying to get you in a gotcha, I promise.
Yeah.
So like, how do you decide what a chemical is? Is dihydrogen monoxide a chemical in your book?
Can you give me the short version?
Dihydrogen monoxide.
Is that oxygen?
No, that's water.
Water. Oh, water.
But like, that's what I'm saying. Like, you can make.
Homeboy just did the dihydrogen monoxide on her, and she didn't know what it was. She has not heard this one before. I wish he had pressed her on that a little bit more. That would have been funny.
Not a chemist or anything.
But I'm not trying to trick you.
No,
the
that's
point
a compound.
Is to show
That's
you
a compound.
What's a chemical?
There's a thing, but there's a difference between endogenous chemicals, things that I can make my body makes, right?
Right.
And exogenous chemicals that
But does
come
your
from
body make
external-
water?
Does my body make fluoride?
does your body make water? You need water to live.
I need water to live. Okay, but my body is 72% water, which means that I am fully made of water. Like I was born.
We need essential amino acids.
I was born with water. You know what I mean? I wasn't born with fluoride in my
Yeah, but the
system.
water came from your parent.
My what? Yeah,
From
my
your
parent, of course. But
who
I didn't
got
get
water
any,
from the environment.
That's fine, but like,
So there's
where did the
certain
first
things we need.
single-celled amoeba get the water from? You know what I mean? Like any living
From the fucking environment. What are you talking about? Mike, that was clever with Mike there. I mean, he got her right away. Like, endogenous and exogenous. I only want the things that my body makes. Your body doesn't make fucking water. You have to drink water every day. You have to consume water to stay alive, right? So he's saying, what is the she said like, oh, but that's a compound. But that's a, yeah, what do you, are we in 9th grade chemistry, or what are we doing here? What are we doing that you're trying to, like, all of these, okay, I'm just going to let her keep talking for a second.
being has water, right? But
But
not
we
everything.
need the water to survive. We need
That's
food
fine.
to
We're
survive.
not here to debate about water.
Right.
So what's your point?
My point is, how do you decide what's a bad chemical versus a good chemical?
The effects on the body.
Okay,
Right.
pause. We're out of time.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Nice to meet you.
The effects on the body, and what is the effect of fluoride? You don't know. You have no idea. You just believe lies that you're told.
My next surrounding claim is that the MAHA movement is sabotaging the doctor-patient relationship.
Hi, doctor.
Hello.
Pleasure to meet you. Okay, so repeat your claim for me.
My claim is that the MAHA movement is sabotaging the doctor-patient relationship.
Okay, so for me, I'm going to take this back to COVID, and I don't want to stay on this topic. I had the Delta variant.
Okay.
And I went to the doctors and I told them, I'm sick, got tested positive, and my doctor told me, go home until you cannot breathe.
Okay.
At the same time, we didn't have any of the
Scary advice.
Yeah, we didn't have any of the monoclonal antibodies. We weren't offered any therapies.
She said monoclonic antibodies. Wow.
Where I was listening to doctors and then watching them be censored. So I think if anything damaged the doctor-patient relationship, that was it. For me, I actually had a friend run up to my house from Huntington Beach, about a 2-hour drive, brought me azithromycin, hydroxychloroquine, and ivermectin. Within 48 hours, I started to recover.
Wow.
Gee, do you think that maybe you were going to recover anyway, and none of that did anything? Because it definitely didn't, because hydroxychloroquine does not treat COVID, and ivermectin does not treat COVID, and azithromycin is an antibiotic, which is not an antiviral, so definitely none of those things did anything, and you just had COVID, and it was a relatively mild case, and you just got better? Did you ever think of that?
It's a lot of drugs.
Yeah, but at the same time, I think that hurt the doctor-patient relationship more than anything else.
Because your doctor sent you home without treatment?
Well, that doctor and 2 telemed doctors.
I see.
All of them. No drugs, nothing to treat
Can I
what
ask
I
you something
had.
about that?
Absolutely.
I'm saying that the MAHA movement is sabotaging the doctor-patient relationship. And you're talking about how the COVID pandemic sabotaged the doctor-patient relationship.
Correct.
You know what's wild? I agree with you. I think we sabotage the doctor-patient relationship.
Great.
So can we talk about how the MAHA movement's impacting it?
Well, I want to share with you what I'm going through right now, because a month ago, my husband collapsed and had a brain tumor.
I'm sorry to hear that.
It's glioblastoma,
That's terrible.
and I don't want to cry.
No, why?
But,
No. Take a breath.
Yeah.
Totally acceptable to cry.
Yeah, but what I'm running into now is they want us to do standard care, where I think as a patient, we should have the right to try. We're currently looking into Dr. Soon Xiong's trial for his bioimmunity therapy.
Okay.
He's getting treatment at Cedar, couldn't ask for better oncologists, but we cannot treat him with bioimmunity therapies until he goes through chemo and radiation, which basically, if he's not doing bioimmunity, that's going to kill both his good and bad cells. So for me, this is really personal at this point. I am looking into it.
This, okay, first of all, I think I should have the right. You have the right. Nobody's forcing you to do anything. You're fortunately doing the appropriate things in terms of getting legitimate health care. I feel like there are a lot of people like this who kill themselves or their loved ones, specifically with cancer. Steve Jobs did it, right? It's all this like, I'm gonna do this other wacky thing, and that shit won't work. And then all of a sudden you've got stage 4 cancer. Nothing can help you anymore, and you will die. I don't know what the fuck this bioimmunity stuff is that she's talking about. It smells like bullshit to me. But yeah, do the chemo, do the real thing, or he will die. Okay.
And I'm seeing the people that you want funded getting in the way of my husband's treatment, where I and my husband as a patient should have a right to try.
You can do whatever you want. Nobody's forcing you at gunpoint to go to a hospital. You're at the hospital because deep down you know that that's where you need to go to have any fucking shot at beating cancer. But if you really don't, if you're just desperate for your husband to die, leave the hospital and go do whatever the shit you're talking about. Like, what are you talking about? Like, it's like people are like, oh, I was forced to take the COVID vaccine. No, you weren't. No, you weren't. I don't give a shit what you're talking about, oh, my job forced me to or whatever. That's not forcing, right? You always have a choice. All of these things are choices.
Correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm not an expert in oncology.
Okay.
Isn't there such thing as right to try legislation that already exists?
There is, but I don't know why. Like, for instance, it's the FDA's in the way.
But the FDA is currently run by Secretary Kennedy. So is
Well,
he your
and
enemy
again,
right
but
now?
see, right now,
Because then we're on the same team.
Well, but at the same time, we can also go back into Biden's administration where all the money was going into changing kids' genders.
All the money?
Well, a lot of it. A
How
lot
much
of
of
that
it?
was, well, I don't know the dollar amount, but again.
Okay, no, gender affirming care does not change your gender. It changes your primary and secondary sexual characteristics to match your gender identity, which is inborn, born with it. I'm definitely not going to go on a tangent on transphobic bullshit because it is the biggest quagmire, and these fucking MAGA types will never learn anything. They'll never learn anything. It's just a fucking brick wall. It's absolutely insane. And Biden was spending all the money to change the genders. Jesus fucking Christ. Like, just, how did it get this way? Why are millions of people this hopeless? I just don't know how it happened, man.
Again,
Is that important?
I think that the whole industry has failed us, and I can't
agree.
even go back into who's in power. What I do like about Kennedy, if we're gonna stick on Kennedy, I like that for the first time I found out how dangerous this water bottle I'm drinking out of is. I like for the fact that they're taking these dyes out of food. I like that they just passed where they're going to lower the drug prices, where we end up paying.
So we already knew that plastics dissolve at an extremely slow rate, so you didn't need Kennedy to tell you that. He's definitely not taking any dyes out of the food. That's not happening, and there's virtually no evidence that any of them are harmful in the first place. There's like a speck of data on Red 40 that maybe there's like some slight correlation there, but it's a wild goose chase. I'm sorry to tell you.
Paying the same amount as people from all over the world. These are things I like. I don't think that I've ever seen a perfect HHS secretary, and I can agree that there's things that Kennedy probably is doing that I don't agree with, but there's definitely, the thing that I like about him is he's opening up other options where before I feel like everything was, you must do it by this. And again, I would like to see the FDA broken. I've been trolling Dr. Soon nonstop to the point I've gotten in touch with him, but my husband's starting chemo on Tuesday.
Yeah, that's a lot.
It's a lot.
That's a lot, yeah.
And so there,
And
I
the
just
system-
barfed all over you.
No, that's, look.
Yeah, you hate that before everything had to be done this way, the stupid sciencey way, the way where people actually know facts and they know what's true. They know things about the human body and medicine. And I don't like that way. I don't like the smart, stupid Harvard way. I don't like the stuffy, elite ivory tower knowing things way. I like the bullshit way. I like the piece of shit frauds like RFK who spew pseudoscience that makes me feel special. I like the lying way that will definitely get tons of people killed. I like that we have options between reality and delusion, right? It used to be only reality. Now we have reality and delusion. It's way better. More options, guys.
Look, you're the person that every time I make a video about, I think about. Every time I'm going to the hospital to work, you're the person I'm thinking about. Every time I fact check one of Secretary Kennedy's claims, you're the person I think about. You're the person I want to get accurate information, not information from Biden's secretary, not from President Trump's secretary. I don't care who's secretary. I want you to get the honest information so you can decide what's right for you and your husband. And currently, I don't feel like that's happening. And I'll explain why so you could decide if what you think I'm saying is bullshit or not. In 2024, when Secretary Kennedy was running for president, he was on stage and he talked about how GLP-1 medications, these Ozempics, Wegovy's and such, paralyze your stomach. They do these terrible things to your body. They're poisoning our nation. In Europe, they're illegal. All of that is untrue or overblown. A year later, he's standing with President Trump, celebrating that Americans are having access to these medications. How can you believe what he's saying when every time he's flip-flopping about the truth to you? When in early 2000s, he's doing interviews about mercury. He says vaccines save hundreds, millions of lives. And then now he's telling you they're a big problem and causing people death. How do you decide when he's telling the truth versus when he's not, when there's constant hypocrisy coming from him as an individual?
Well, I don't think that it's 100%. I think that there's good things and there's bad things with anybody that's in power.
I agree.
And for me, I honestly am not coming here just gung-ho. I want to learn from you. I think
That's
you are
amazing.
here
I
in
appreciate
good
that.
faith. I don't think that you're a bad man just trying to win the argument. And trust me, I've sat in this chair where that's exactly what the person in the other seat wants to do. What I would like is to see freedom for you as a doctor.
Sure.
What I would like to see is freedom for me as a patient and to be able to pursue those avenues that are best. Again, as far as Ozempic, you know what? If you eat too much ice cream, I say cut down on the ice cream. I'm not 100% behind that whole Ozempic thing because I think it's vain. I think that
What about for people who have diabetes?
well, I think that there's better ways for them to lose weight. My ex-son-in-law has diabetes and the bad kind, and yet he drinks alcohol. You know, that's probably worse for him than anything. But I do like what Kennedy's doing as far as not
The dyes you mentioned.
the
right?
dyes and the plastics in our food, getting the pesticides out of our
so
food.
let's
thing
talk
like
about
that.
the dyes, because I think that's an interesting point. You know, a lot of people talk about red dye number 40.
Right.
That there was some research showing that kids who overconsume it have higher rates of hyperactivity and potentially tying it to ADHD. You've heard that. So that research is real. It
Right.
does exist. It's shorter term, but it does exist. So I actually think removing these petroleum-based dyes is not necessarily a bad thing. I think it's a plus side into Secretary Kennedy's agenda. However, the issues that you're talking about giving doctors a chance to be with their patients the way we're spending time together, is a systemic flaw. We don't get time with our patients. The difference between seeing a naturopath versus a primary care doctor is that the primary care doctor usually spends 5 to 10 minutes with you. And that's not because they don't like you or they don't care about you. It's the system sucks for them. So
Really-
can we get Secretary Kennedy to change the system?
Really quick, what I would like to see happen was you as a physician be able to reach across the aisle and work synergetically with other doctors that are specialists in other areas.
Sure.
For instance, with this oncology, the oncologist should work with the radiologist who should be working with
And they're not?
bioimmunity. Well, they're not allowed to work with the bioimmunity until he does radiation and chemo, which are going to destroy all of his good cells. So that's a problem.
Chemo does not destroy all of your good cells. You have no fucking idea what you're talking about. Radiation destroys cells indiscriminately. That's why we fucking laser focus it on the tumor. Chemotherapy does not destroy all your good cells. It is targeted for rapidly dividing cells, which tend to be tumor cells. also hair follicle cells, right? That's why you lose your hair and stuff like that. It's not just randomly killing every cell in your body. That would make it, that would be terrible. So you don't know what chemotherapy is. You're talking about doctors can't talk to each other. Yes, they fucking do. You think oncologists don't talk to radiologists? What the fuck are you talking about? Like, there's a team of specialists that work with the patient and they communicate with each other. What else? The Red 40 thing. I don't like this term petroleum-based like just petrol, like it just like they use it like there's petroleum in it. It's just a source of carbon, right? You need carbon from somewhere to build a molecule. This is just lost on people who don't understand basic synthetic chemistry. I don't remember what else. But yeah, it's like, look, here's the thing. Of all the insane shit RFK says, even a broken clock is right twice a day, right? Let's say Red 40 is slightly harmful, and we take it out. Great. I don't give a shit. I'm not going to defend Red 40. What the fuck do I care? Take Red 40 out. I don't even care. Even with the razor thin evidence we have right now, take it out. I don't care. But number one, he's not trying to do that. He's not actually trying to do that. He's not actively trying to implement legislature to get rid of any of these substances. In fact, he's making it easier for PFASs to get in food and everything. He's not doing it. That's just a script. And second of all, I'm sorry, we're gonna like applaud. Oh my God, let's say he does it. He got Red 40 out. Wow. Oh, all these kids are dying of preventable diseases that were said to be eradicated because he spread all this paranoia about vaccines. That's a very strong net negative. Okay? So, yeah, don't give a fuck about Red 40.
Problem. So I think as far as everything that's gone on, like for instance, you brought up the kids with the ADHD. When my son was in 3rd grade, I had a teacher who didn't like that he was a boy and hyperactive. She came to me in 3rd grade, put him on pills.
Yeah, that's rude. I'm sorry.
And I said
that
no.
shouldn't happen.
And I said no. But how many kids?
And I'm not saying that shouldn't happen because no children should be on the medication.
Yeah, but they're putting everybody on it.
I will, this is another point I will succumb.
Right.
We are sometimes too quick to start medications.
Right.
And I think the reason for this needs to be evaluated.
Right.
Part of it, we have less time with our patients, so therefore we have to just do what we can. Second, we also have patients that are very consumer driven. Give me a pill to fix it as opposed to making me do the work to fix it. I don't want to patient blame, but this is the reality of what happens. So how do we fix all of these big problems without creating disconnects by cutting research budgets? Like if Secretary Kennedy
Well, I want to know where that money went because it
didn't go anywhere.
Well, a
It
lot
just
of
got
this
cut.
money, though, was going to insurance companies.
The research dollars doesn't go to insurance.
Well, I would, seeing what happens in local politics, I see a lot of money laundering going on. I hate to say it. Pleasure.
Thank you so
sir.
much. I appreciate you.
I
know you're
really
going through a
appreciate
lot.
you. Thank you.
Yes, let's close with some baseless paranoia, ignore everything Mike said, and let's just move on.
Pleasure.
Good to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well. So talk to me, how do you feel about the sabotaging of the doctor-patient relationship by the MAHA movement?
I don't agree with it. I don't think that MAHA is sabotaging their relationship. As a matter of fact, I think it's cultivating confidence in patients to be able to speak to their doctors because it's providing education in a way that has never been there before.
Now that the head of HHS is lying constantly and spreading pseudoscience and brainwashing people, now education is there in a way we've never had a head of HHS who's a fucking anti-vaxxer. That's what's unprecedented. We've never had a head of HHS that is completely insane and constantly spreading medical misinformation. That's what we've never had before. So you're not empowered, right? You just are clearly some lunatic that goes to the doctor and starts saying, well, Bobby said this, Bobby said that. And the doctor's like, God damn it, one of these fucking lunatics. And has to be like, well, no, that's wrong. He's insane. There's no idea what he's talking about. Oh, well, I don't believe you. Well, okay, fine. What? Like, oh, you're like a big pharma doctor or something. I don't know what to tell you, lady. Get the fuck out of here and go get sick for however you want to.
And I know you were talking about research, and so you're a busy doctor. Do you have time to do research?
When you say do research, do you mean actually do clinical trials myself?
Follow all of the data.
Sure.
You do. So
Yeah.
you, in addition to a week-long log of patients, you make time to read all of the material and all of the data about different
You want me to be
topics.
honest?
Yes.
Sometimes I do it in the room with the patient.
Okay,
Because I'm
great.
family medicine, so like a lot of different
Awesome.
conditions come. So absolutely important.
Well, you're very rare.
Well, I appreciate that, but let me ask you a question
Yeah.
so we can get off to perhaps a better talking point.
I love like she's basically insinuating that like most doctors are stupid and don't keep up to date with all the new research. You couldn't pass a middle school science quiz. Like I love this like projection of just like, oh, you know, they don't even try to like learn the new stuff. I get like as soon as she starts, she hasn't made an actual scientific claim yet, but I guarantee you that she has no fucking idea what she's talking about, like severely. And she's trying to put it out there that like doctors don't know what's going on because they don't stay up to date on the latest thing. It's bananas.
Secretary Kennedy,
Yes.
in the last few months, went on a podcast and basically defamed all doctors in the United States by saying doctors are just interested in profit and keeping patients sick. Hearing that line, as a patient yourself, do you feel that your doctor is in your best interest, is working in your best interest? And do you have more trust in your doctor after hearing that line?
So I have enormous respect for Bobby Kennedy. I feel like he's educated and informed and does the research on the data. And
He is specifically not educated or informed. He's not a fucking doctor. He's not a scientist or a doctor. He has no idea what he's talking about. Every time he opens his mouth about anything having to do with health or science or anything like that, he's completely fucking it up, both because he's a lying fraud and he's a fucking idiot with no idea what he's talking about. Where the fuck did you get it in your head that he's educated and informed and does the research? I'm sorry, what the fuck research does he do? Where's his last publication? What journal was it in? What are you talking about, you insane woman?
has worked on cases that he's become familiarized with medical data. So I believe that when he speaks, he comes from a place of informed
So you
knowledge.
agree that doctors
So I'm gonna answer that as well. So when I go to my doctor, typically my doctor, I don't have, thank goodness, I don't have a lot of health issues, but when I have, my doctor wants to move me to medication, which always makes me think that in med school, that doctors are trained to find a medicalized solution rather than an alternative solution that empowers my own immune system and my own body.
Okay.
And so when I go in to talk to my doctor,
Oh my God, if you have a bacterial infection and my doctor is just like, oh, you need to take these antibiotics because I'm a stupid pharma shill trying to make all this money by prescribing you a fucking $5 of antibiotics that will be the only thing that cures this pathogen, that cures you of this pathogen. What are you talking about? That medicalizes? What are you saying? Doctors understand how the body works and how disease works, and they try to help you. He just asked you a very straightforward question about, do you agree with Bobby Kennedy's insane fucking claim, which I hadn't heard, by the way, that he said that all doctors want to keep you sick? All doctors want to keep you sick. Only trust me. Only listen to me. Good old Bobby Kennedy. I'm the only one you can trust. You can't listen to any doctor in the world. You can only trust me. That's how fucking cult leaders talk. Okay? You fell for it.
my doctor will look at me and be like, okay, you don't want any of that. And I'd be like, no, I want to have a different conversation. And MAHA provides that because it's talking about removing dyes. And I'm also a parent. So for me, there's things that involve children that I so appreciate MAHA presenting, because before there wasn't a choice. Doctors thought of parents and patients as kind of dumb.
I agree that 20, 30 years ago, that was absolutely the education.
Yeah.
You are super dumb. And yet I'm sure that doctors don't treat you like that. Like you, oh my God, it's such a cult. It's such a cult. like you have these idiots who have no fucking idea about anything, and then Bobby comes along and says, no, but actually you're smart. Actually, you know more than doctors. And morons like this go, oh yeah, you're right. I think I do know more than doctors. I shouldn't have to take any medication ever. I should just have some kind of super magic spell that makes me better by all the magic that I can do because I'm super special and smarter than doctors. That makes sense. I'll worship you forever, Bobby. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it still can exist.
Yeah, because doctors are older, so that's true. I'd love for you if you can answer that question. Like by hearing Secretary Kennedy say that doctors are just interested in keeping you sick, does that improve your relationship with your doctor or not?
I would have to hear the context.
That's the context.
But I mean like the whole thing. Because one thing that I've experienced a lot with Bobby is that people get sound bites and they don't hear the entire interview and the entire dialogue, and then they piecemeal it, and then they go, that man.
Yeah,
and,
people do that with things.
Right.
No, they don't do that with him. We go through the entire fucking Maha report line by line and show that all of it's either it's AI generated, referencing studies that don't exist. People have scrutinized everything he's said and say it with all and do so with all of the context. So what are you talking about? What are we taking out of context when he says that vaccines cause autism when they know they fucking don't? What are we taking out of context when he says that Tylenol causes autism when no, it fucking doesn't, and he had to retract it later to avoid a lawsuit, presumably from the makers of Tylenol. God damn it.
What's a way that he could have been saying that in a genuine way?
Well, in a genuine way, I think he was, I can't speak for him.
Sure.
But my experience of Bobby is that he is a genuine, compassionate, kind, caring human. And he takes his work very seriously, and his commitment to ending chronic health disease and making sure children are healthy and adults are healthy.
You're fucking delusional. He is a psychopath. He used to, not that it's the focal point of my big RFK video, but there's a section in it where I go over all the psychotic shit that he's done, sawing the head off of a whale, and then there's the bear thing, and just the raw sewage and just like the insane shit that he's done. He is a fucking psychopath. Okay? Ask his siblings, ask his cousins. He's been a douchebag since he was a child. He does not give a fuck about public health, and you think that he's making things safer for children when he is specifically murdering children. Kids dying of measles, kids dying of whooping cough. Get ready for a lot more of that shit, especially if him and Latipo and fucking, what's the Florida governor? DeSantis succeed in repealing vaccine mandates for school children. That is probably going to go through in early 2026, and children will start dying. And then what do we say? Oh my gosh, it must be from all the microplastics. It might be from, I don't want to say that because that could be actually a real threat. It might be from the fluorine. It might be from the, oh my gosh, I think that all the other, whatever, they'll make some shit up. They'll make some shit up to push it under the rug and continue promoting vaccine hesitancy. More and more kids will die. Like, what the fuck is it going to take for you people to see what this piece of shit really is? What is it going to take? It's like same shit with Trump. He could shoot someone in the head in broad daylight. He said it himself on Fifth Avenue. I could murder somebody in broad daylight and nobody will bat an eyelash. All the MAGA douchebags will continue worshiping him. What the fuck is it going to take for you to see what RFK is? I'm at a loss. Help me out.
Is very, very important to him. So, but if I heard that, I probably would have been like, I want to understand more about where he's coming from, because it doesn't line up for me that he would just generalize that all doctors are doing that. But in context, he might have been referring to something.
So if one of the participants here that are surrounding us came up to me after the show and said that you're a liar and everything you say is untrue, that perhaps could be said in a nice way?
Oh, well, I would probably think that maybe there's something going on for that person.
Or called you a bad mother?
I've been called a lot of things.
But wouldn't that hurt?
It would make me think for a moment, like, do you know me? Do you know what I do? Do you know how I am? Do you know my professionalism?
That's how I feel as a doctor when Secretary Kennedy says that to me. He says we're interested in people keeping people sick for profit. I don't even take a salary to work as a doctor anymore. The YouTube stuff is so successful. I really am showing up for my patients pro bono because I want to help people. I'm here pro bono.
Right.
I flew here myself for free because I want to give you the best information. And you said Secretary Kennedy is well researched.
Yes.
He goes on the podiums and he says inaccuracies all the time. And look, everyone's allowed to make mistakes. I'm not about gotchas. I'm not that guy.
Right.
But when you say back in the day, kids who had diabetes almost never existed, and now 1 in 3 kids have diabetes, it's a lie. 1 in 300 kids have diabetes. So like, how much do I as a YouTuber, have to fact check Secretary Kennedy, the Director of Health and Human Services, before he comes out and says, I messed up. I need to tell you the truth and I'm getting the numbers wrong so often. When does that happen?
That's a really good point. I don't know. I guess we'd have to go back also to during COVID when they made these really outrageous statements that weren't true. Either go back because
just deflect, right? Just blow right past that. Mike just told you that he's talking out of his ass, lying, spewing bullshit all the fucking time. Well, I don't know, but I guess COVID though, but we should talk about COVID. Can we talk about COVID? COVID was bad. Everybody lied during COVID. I don't want to talk about how Bobby's lying all the time. He's my fucking hero. Let's talk about COVID.
There have been mistakes, and if
I have multiple videos on my YouTube channel, including podcasts, where we talk about every mistake we made, I made during the pandemic, because ultimately it's about trying to figure out how to do better, not to score political points.
Your pause. You've been voted out. Please return to your seat.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Got it. All right. Hi, nice to meet you, sir.
Pleasure. Jack?
So, yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
I just want to make sure I got your name.
So I think to start this off, there's actually some truth to what he said. So yeah, as of
who
right,
said- I said
what
or
Kennedy
said?
said.
Okay.
So the truth is that after the year 2000, doctors say that 1 in 3 children will actually develop diabetes in their lifetime. So there's actually so often a lot more truth to what Kennedy says than what you give him. And I know that you're not.
What the fuck are you talking about? 1 of 3 people are going to develop diabetes? Do a third of all the people you know have diabetes? Right? If that was said in 2000, all those kids are adults now. Do 1/3 of all people have diabetes? What the fuck are you talking about? Stop trying to defend the insane shit that Bobby says, right? Bobby and Trump, all these people, they do the same thing with autism. They're like, it used to be 1 in a billion and now it's 1 in 7. Like, what the, they're always lying. They're always lying. Always.
So he just said it inaccurately, you mean? Like, because he said, this is a quote unquote, that currently 1 in 3 children have diabetes.
I mean, it could have been that maybe the wording was wrong, but the truth is that if you were born after the year 2000, 1 in 3 people are going to develop diabetes
As a
in their
prediction.
lifetime. Yes. And so I think so often what we can do with Kennedy is we can still paint him in bad faith, even if that's not our intention. And I think one of the things that you said actually was that Kennedy said that half of the people in China have diabetes, right? And I remember in this video you said, no, it's actually 13% of people. I'm like, total fact check. Well, the truth is that while 13% of people in China do have diabetes, the truth is that making up the rest of that 50% margin are actually people that right now already have pre-diabetes. And from 2005 to 2023, there has been a 50% increase in the number of people with diabetes in the country of China.
So what you're saying is he gets it wrong, but the intention is good?
Well, I mean, when you
or
are
sort of right?
Sorry, when you're in the public eye for years and years and years and years, there's a good shot that you're going to misword something that says,
Sure. Did he come out and correct himself when he did that?
Well, in many cases, he has come out and correct himself. I mean, the truth is...
What cases are those?
Okay, so...
Fucking never. Absolutely not.
Specifically, it's the case in Tylenol. I mean, he came back and he said there is not enough scientific evidence to say that Tylenol causes autism.
So to avoid a lawsuit.
Doesn't that concern you as a person who lives in the United States, that there's a press conference, there's the president, Health and Human Services Secretary, the director of CMS, Dr. Oz, and they're telling you, even Dr. Makari, who runs FDA, goes on the weeknight shows on Fox and says there's a causal relationship between Tylenol and autism. This is quote unquote, I'm not twisting words. This is what was said. and then 2 weeks later they go, nah, never mind. Doesn't that upset you in the same way that we flip-flopped back in COVID days? I'm curious why it changes.
So here's the thing you have to understand, and I know you know this, and the truth is that science is a constant practice, it's a constant thing, and so medicine specifically is also constant in itself. The thing is, if something is a fact, then it will be able to be refuted, then it will stand no matter what. Whenever you
unless you learn something new, and maybe that will change
which is true.
the fact.
But if we have scientific facts established, and they are in fact true, then they will simply stand. And that's the thing. The thing that I appreciate about Kennedy is he understands that science at the highest levels is a constant debate. And so when you see a study come out that contradicts the status quo, to say that and to say, okay, Americans, we have found that, whatever could do whatever, contrary to what's believed, specifically in the Tylenol situation, it's good that he presented that we found this, and then he actually retracted that 2 weeks later, I believe.
No, he just fudged everything to make a bullshit claim to make Trump look good, and then he rescinded it to avoid a lawsuit. I'm sorry, what you're saying is fucking insane. Kennedy does not give a shit about scientific evidence. He does not give a shit about any of it. He goes around spewing crap that has been long debunked, like vaccines cause autism. CDC official memo. Vaccines cause autism. No, they fucking don't. No, they fucking don't. There's a mountain of evidence that proves, whatever. There's a mountain of evidence that demonstrates absolutely zero link between any vaccine and autism, and he still says that shit. He still says it. He does not care about scientific research. He does not care about giving you factual information. Get it through your skull.
So I think that it's very, very important to say, if we do find something, and there's scientific evidence for something that does go against the grain, to come out there and say that you have that evidence.
Yeah, so this is pretty interesting what you're pointing out. I would say a year before this press conference, I had a video lined up to talk about the relationship between Tylenol and autism in those who are pregnant. So I literally was making a video on that subject.
Okay.
And just because of production delays and such, we didn't get a chance to put it out. So in the medical community, we were already understanding that there is a potential tie there, an association.
Mm-hmm.
We knew that there wasn't a causal link to prove that definitely.
Right, because it's not even
causes.
widely agreed as of today what causes autism.
Exactly.
Right, but then again, I think that we should constantly be looking into these things a little bit deeper than we already do. Well, there's a problem here because 70%
the research he's quoting wasn't done the week he presented it. Do you know why it was presented this September when he presented it?
So the research wasn't done in September of 2025.
Yeah, it was done. It was done a long period before that. There was multiple research done because you said we need to look into it.
So you said that there's multiple.
Research articles.
You said there's multiple of them.
Yeah.
So I think the reason he probably shared it is because there were multiple of them. Then it's it actually posed a red flag in this situation.
No, do you want me to be honest and tell you why he shared it? Because at the beginning of his time and his tenure, he promised that by September we'd find the cause of autism. And because he did not find it, because we've been looking for it, we want to help people. I want to find the cause of autism. I'm being honest with you. I wish I could help my patients.
Flip the switch really fast.
No, but I really want to I want to show you how passionate I am, because when Secretary Kennedy raises his voice, people see his passion.
Okay.
And we in healthcare don't have the same passion. So I want to show you my passion. We want to find it, and we haven't found it. And when he presents to you a fake link because he knows it doesn't exist, why are you not mad at him like we are mad at him?
Sir,
Answer that question.
I don't know how.
Mike, ooh, he's turning it on a little bit. I like this. Stay here. Stay in this place, Mike. You didn't let him change the topic. You cornered him. I want to hear the response here.
How you can say that today everyday Americans should be trusting research that's put out, because there was a recent study that was done that said 70% of studies that are put out have a conflict of interest, the majority of which are for undisclosed amounts, and the average amount that is known is $27,000 per
So
physician.
should we throw out all research? Why are you trusting? Do you know if there's a conflict of interest with the Tylenol research?
70%.
I'm not arguing with you. I agree conflict of research
You flip the switch
exists.
so fast, and then it's like,
But
whoa,
I agree
this is
with
intense.
you. No, I'm intense because I'm
I'm
advocating
glad we
for
agree on that.
patients,
So
not
am I.
because I'm mad at you.
Well, so am I. And the thing is that what's known as when you come in, and obviously you can't directly receive money from Big Pharma. However,
Well, you can.
You can't. It's in kickbacks and it's also in funding.
Well, you can get paid to speak at conferences, promote certain medications. That's absolutely
Right, and then
doable.
it's shown that the majority in family practice and cardiology, every specialty, the majority of physicians have received conflict of interest payments. They've been paid off by Big Pharma. And that's to be said.
How do you know that?
It's, well, 75% I saw the statistic. I don't
Well,
have the
no,
source.
I'll help you.
I mean,
I agree.
We could talk
It's
about
disclosed.
this after. Yeah,
It's disclosed.
Right. These things have to be disclosed. But the thing is that something.
Do you know
as,
what that law is
sir,
called?
Something as much as as little as $20 actually can change the prescription given by a doctor, and I think this is a major problem. And you guys have broken trust with the American
I agree.
citizen.
So look, it needs to be disclosed. Money can create conflict. Agree with you totally. I don't disagree with the sentence you said.
So should we remove it?
Remove what? The conflict of interest?
Should we not allow conflict of interest?
Let me just catch up on your point.
All right.
I agree that conflict of interest can create bias. I agree that pharmaceutical companies pay doctors and it could bias them.
They're on the same team. This is
Yes.
Good.
Does Secretary Kennedy make money?
Absolutely.
Has he been paid hundreds of thousands of dollars by law firms to pursue vaccine claims?
These are because
why does that not bias
These are
him?
lawsuits that he himself has gone after the company for.
Why doesn't it bias him? Why, when he gets paid by Children's Health Defense, why does that not bias him? Why are you looking at bias only in one direction?
So you kind of have.
Ooh, all right. I like this new direction for Mike here. I really hope he stays here. RFK making millions of dollars doing what he does with CHD. Why doesn't that bias him? Right? Like, he's right. Why are you only looking at wonder? I mean, it's like the problem is that there's no room for good faith discussion about what, like, you can point out corruption, right? You can point out, okay, this pharmaceutical company paid these doctors to promote this this medication off label, right? They said, like, okay, this is for this, but it might help a little bit for these. So we'll give you some money if you prescribe it for this other stuff too. It's like, yeah, it's unethical. You can say that that's corruption. It's nowhere near as bad as promoting vaccine hesitancy that makes kids die. So I'm sorry, the corruption from Bobby and his ilk is 10 times worse than the corruption that does actually exist between pharma and the health industry. But yeah, it's just like these people get, like, it's just, they give Bobby a pass on everything. They give Trump a pass on everything. Like, Trump is a pedophile rapist, right? This is just globally known at this point. And all of the MAGA people that are just like, pedophile, Democrat, pedophile ring, a sex trafficking ring under a pizza place, the Hillary Clinton, blah, blah, blah. Pedophile is the worst thing you can be. Pedophile rapist. You follow a fucking pedophile rapist, right? They just endlessly excuse their fucking cult leader heroes. Bobby Kennedy is a maniac who makes money off of peddling disinformation. He's filthy rich from doing it. So you're going to whine about doctors. Okay, maybe a doctor made, let's say a doctor made 20 grand in filthy money. Okay, all right, that's that's not good. Shouldn't have done it. How about Bobby? How about Bobby's turn? Let's talk about all of the money he makes. Who has a greater net worth, Bobby Kennedy or the average doctor? You want to answer me that?
A problem here, and you're just assuming that his intention is bad.
I'm not.
Right.
I'm not. I'm asking why
So
you're
if he is
choosing
setting
to
up-
say bias is
so
bad here, but not here.
If he is,
I'm agreeing with you on your side. Why are you disagreeing with me with bias with him receiving payments? Do you know how much money he's gotten paid by pharmaceutical companies?
You give me the figure.
No, you won't know because he's not a doctor. He doesn't have to disclose it.
What
If
does
he
this
got-
have to do with him receiving?
Because the reason you know doctors do it is because we disclose it to try and reduce bias. He doesn't have to. Huberman does ads. You know who Andrew Huberman
Absolutely.
is? A very popular
Yes, sir.
doctor. He does ads for Athletic Greens all the time. Do you know how much he gets paid? No, he doesn't have to disclose it. Isn't there bias there?
So there's a difference between an influencer and a physician
He's
that
not
is
an
direct.
influencer. He has
I'm talking about Andrew.
PhD.
Andrew is an influencer, right? Then somebody that's your family practice doctor that's prescribing you
What
the
about the
medicine directly.
Secretary of Health and Human Services?
So here's the
He's
thing.
getting money. How is that
He has
impacting his
gotten
decisions?
money in the past. He doesn't take payments anymore. He can't. And
Do you know who's taking payments on his behalf?
You're probably gonna say his wife.
His son.
Okay, so here's the thing about
But
that.
isn't this all a problem for you?
Most of these are cases that he himself has fought, he himself has gotten into the court, and he himself has won, and then he receives payments from that.
Don't you feel that you're being unfair by saying bias on one side but not bias on the other side when it's the same scenario?
Look, it's the thing is that it's two different things, right? You're talking about every doctor in America, and 70% of them are paid off, versus this guy who's been winning lawsuits, and this is mainly because he found something in the environment and then it gets taken out, specifically chemicals or whatever it is.
No, none of that is true. First of all, he's not winning lawsuits. He's the guy. He's the fucking like he gets finder's fees. That's all. He doesn't try the cases. He's not winning lawsuits. And second of all of them are like, they're all lawsuits that are won on like a procedural thing. I go over all this shit in my RFK video. Like, it's never like, oh, they put the poison thing in the thing and then they did the lawsuit and then they had to take out the poison thing. Yeah, it's never like that. It's always some fucking organizational thing or something. And sorry, what else was I gonna say? Yeah, he's doing the thing. He's pretending that like every single doctor is bought off by big pharma. You can't trust any doctor. What are you talking about, man? Just like, have you ever been to a doctor? Like, it's okay to be like, I had a bad experience with a doctor, or this one doctor is a piece of shit. But it's like, to paint with this broad brush of just like all doctors are bad and evil and paid off by big pharma. How, like, you sound like a fucking flat earther. That's how dumb you sound. I'm sorry.
So I think these are two different things. And I think that in today's America, we're in a moment where we need reform rather than just going along.
I agree.
So I think we agree on so
He's
much.
not making the reform.
Yeah, well,
we're out of time. We're out of time. Thank you
so much. I appreciate it.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
They believe that he should be the president because they believe that his agenda of mass still were willing to vote for Donald Trump.
Welcome to Face Off, where two people debate four claims. One clock, no interruptions.
My next surrounded claim is that Big Pharma is more trustworthy than Big Supplement.
Dr.
Hello.
Mike, how are you?
Love the suit.
Thank you so much.
Yep.
It's a pleasure to be with you today. I just wanted to say it's really unfortunate that you're feeling that the Maha movement is getting in the way of the relationship you're having with your patients. I think what we really need to be talking about is public trust. And the public is losing trust in our government because it is being captured by special interests like Big Pharma. And I say that because, like FDA, is funded about 50% or more from fees that are paid to it by the very drug companies that they are.
Because the government won't subsidize that anymore. So the drug companies have to pay for the FDA to approve their drugs and to do so more quickly. I can't believe we're going there. Like, I thought we were going, like the government has been captured by special interests. Yeah, no shit. It's been captured by the fucking MAGA movement and putting RFK in there, Jay Bhattacharya, Marty McCary. All these people are gigantic pieces of shit who are ruining every federal institution that has anything to do with public health. But no, you're going to whine about pharma. We're going to talk about pharma. Oh my God, pharma pays money to get their drugs approved, right? To make so that to ensure that the drugs are safe for consumption. What a scandal!
Approving? So there's a little bit of a conflict of interest there. Mm-hmm. And also, Big Pharma spends about $20 billion a year in advertising, $7 billion of which is direct to consumer. And we see all of these ads on TV. You know the ones I'm talking about.
Absolutely, with the pretty butterflies.
They're going through fields and they're happy and singing songs.
Us in New Zealand, right?
Yeah, and
yeah, that's how ads work, dude. Have you seen an advertisement for a fucking deodorant or a shampoo or exercise tapes or anything like that? That's called fucking advertising. Oh my God, the ad is manipulative. That's what advertising is, okay? Fine, fucking get rid of direct-to-consumer advertising from pharma. I don't fucking care. But you're like, to take that and go like, oh my God, the ad is so blah, blah, blah. Is the drug safe? Do you want to talk about drug safety and efficacy? Then talk about that. Don't whine about ads, okay? Fucking ads, big deal. Take them out. I don't give a shit. We're talking about the product itself. You have something to say about that? I know you don't.
At the end, really, really quickly, it's all about like, it could be an antidepressant medication. Mm-hmm. And at the end, it's like really, really fast, may cause explosive diarrhea, spontaneous combustion, and even suicidal thoughts, you know? Big Pharma, like any special interest, has captured our government. And when it's captured our government on so many levels, not just the three-letter agencies, but it's out in the open how much they're giving to our electeds. And so they are literally putting the profits of Big Pharma over people and our health.
Interesting. There's parts of that I agree with and parts that I disagree with. If you'd like to hear what I agree with is that pharmaceutical companies are absolutely interested in profits. This is a for-profit system.
Right.
It's a capitalist nation. In fact, if you look at our food supply, it's primarily focused on profits instead of trying to keep us healthy. That's pretty much always been the case within the last 50 years or so. When it comes to pharma versus supplements, which is kind of what we were discussing here, because some people say, I don't want to take a pharmaceutical, I'd rather go the natural approach. That is said a lot in terms of the internet. And I think that there's two issues with it. One is that there's this natural fallacy, that just because something is natural means it's safe, and just because something is for profit means it's evil. And that's weird to me because things that are natural can be absolutely dangerous. So like cyanide, arsenic, these are natural phenomena and they're absolutely dangerous.
Absolutely.
And things that are for profit, like supplement companies, can be sometimes beneficial. Like if someone has a vitamin D deficiency, I would absolutely tell them to take a vitamin D supplement. The issue is, do you know how big the pharmaceutical industry is in the United States for billions of dollars? You don't just say no.
How many billions of dollars they make?
Yeah.
I don't know off the top of my
$600
head.
billion, crazy sum, right? Do you know how big the Global Wellness Institute says the wellness industry is in the United States?
It's like 2 or 3 trillion. It's bigger. I hope I'm right, but that's a scary fact. I'll wait for confirmation. But the idea, like alt health, is bigger than pharma in terms of profits, and the problem is that shit ain't regulated at all. Those of you who watch my vaccine debate with Steve Kirsch, remember how he's blind in one eye now because of the fucking nattokinase supplement from Peter McCullough? Yeah, this shit ain't tested. It's dangerous. These people whine about pharma. You should be concerned about alt health. That's where the danger is.
It's probably bigger than that.
2 trillion. So why are you only interested in conflicts of interest for pharma when the supplement wellness industry is 3-4x? I'm not great at math off the cuff. So I'm just curious on that specific point.
You know, it's interesting because I don't disagree that either. I think, again, going back to my point about eroding the public trust, I think what's happening with what I know about Big Pharma is that they often have board members that sit on boards of the big media like Fox and CNN, but they also sit on the board of the Big Pharma. And so it's that we're worried about because those things are really causing more complications. Like you're taking one big pharmaceutical pill and it's causing 5 other problems and it becomes a sick care system.
What? Tell me the pill. Which pill are you taking? One big pill? What do you mean one big, like the size of the pill is the problem to you? And what are the five things that it's causing? If it's heart medication that makes sure you don't die, but it causes runny stool or something, like is that what do you give me some specifics, man. What's the problem exactly?
I can elect to take those other non-FDA approved drugs, and I'm choosing that. But I'm being told by my doctors who are also, being pushed by Big Pharma to push these options on us. So it's more of a choice for.
Are they forcing you to take those medications?
I mean, when you go to a doctor and you're trying to figure out, and you're constantly being bamboozled by you should take this and that and a third.
It's not bamboozled. They're just fucking doctors, and they know what's wrong with you and what will help. Okay?
You feel like that's your only option because we're kind of being programmed that we have to go in that direction.
What happens when you walk into a pharmacy and you walk down the vitamin aisle? What are the words that you see thrown at you?
Oh, like help sleeping or
sleeping, health,
energy,
energy. Sure. What proof do they have to submit in order to sell their supplements?
I would guess nothing.
Me and you, right now, can take whatever supplement we want.
Yeah, it's our choice.
Bottle it up right here. No. Bottle it up right here.
Right.
On this table.
And market
in
it.
capsules. Market it. Put it in a pharmacy if it sells well, especially if you have lots of followers, and make millions of dollars.
Sure, you could, but it's still my personal choice as a consumer, and I think it goes back to.
And it's still your personal choice to take pharmaceuticals. No one's forcing you to take pharmaceuticals.
It's still my personal choice to take medication that an educated doctor prescribes me that has been FDA approved, shown to be safe, shown to actually have sorry, I'm getting a little, I'm not even drunk. Shown to have efficacy for the thing that it is indicated for, right? Has gone through all the appropriate channels. You have a choice between that and some bullshit supplemented that has not been tested, definitely does not, almost certainly doesn't do anything. Yes, you do have that choice. Why do you not see the point that Mike is trying to make here for you, buddy? Use your noggin.
Yes, absolutely, that's true.
But pharmaceuticals at least have to submit something to prove that they work, that they have some safety profile. But what me and you created today, no one has to prove anything. And they also have had instances where they've led people to have liver failure, death. They've been sued by the FDA. There's been threatening letters. Consumer Labs goes and tests what's in these supplements and finds out what's on the labels not actually in the pill. Why don't you have an interest in that?
Well, I don't think the doctors are pushing that. If I go to my doctor, they're not pushing all of those supplements and everything.
Yeah, because they're not fucking frauds. They're doctors that know what they're doing. Like, what are you not getting? What are you not getting, suit?
Everything
Yeah,
like
the
that.
influencers are. Don't you think that's a bigger problem when it's 2 trillion versus 600 billion?
Okay, pause. You've been voted out.
Oh,
Thank you so much. Appreciate you. Hello, pleasure.
I'm Heidi.
Nice to meet you, Heidi.
Nice to meet you too. So we're talking supplements.
Supplements versus pharma. What do you got?
Okay, what I heard in the last debate is that you feel like doctors don't have the responsibility to teach their patients about the supplements. Like if I went to the doctor and I said, hey, I heard that magnesium can really help me with cramps, you know?
Okay.
And the doctor would educate me on that, right? Especially if I asked a question.
Sure, they
But if I
absolutely
went
should.
into the doctor and said, listen, I am suffering from these leg cramps that are excruciating. I am screaming into the air at night and my neighbors are scared of me.
From like a restless
what
leg
can I
syndrome
do?
situation.
Well, I have both,
Okay.
but you know, what do I do? What's your first go-to? Are you going to go towards the pharmaceutical in it, you know, or are you going to hit, well, maybe magnesium can help you, which it has, by
I
the way.
will present the correct diagnosis pathway to, first of all, make sure that is the condition that you have.
Right.
Because a lot of times the internet guides patients to believe that they have certain conditions that they don't.
Yeah, also, like, what are you talking about? Like, it's like if somebody went in there with scurvy and you're thinking that the doctor wouldn't say, holy shit, you need some fucking vitamin C or you're going to die of scurvy. Go to CVS, get some vitamin C supplements, or go get a bunch of oranges or lemons and drink that juice, right? Get some fucking vitamin C, you're going to die of scurvy. It's like, what are you imagining that like doctors are like, no, we have to only prescribe the drug that costs blah, blah, blah. Doesn't matter what's wrong with the patient. But like, what doctors know all this shit. Like they know what, like if magnesium has some efficacy in some realm, they will know that, right? They're doctors. They know, you know, like, what are you talking about?
Well, cramps are pretty self-explanatory.
Meaning, not the symptom.
Right.
Your symptom is your symptom. I'm no
Right.
expert in that. It's your
Gotcha.
body.
Yeah.
So the symptom is real. The question is, what is the diagnosis that's leading for that symptom to
Right.
happen?
Right.
Because some functional medicine doctors tend to take this approach where they say, we look at the root cause where your doctor doesn't. Well, I don't know. I was trained in medical school to always look for the root cause and not just put a bandage on things because I actually want to help you. So I wouldn't necessarily look to treating your symptom instantly. I would first start an investigative path to figure out why you have said symptom. For restless leg syndrome, one of these lab values that's oftentimes not checked that correlates with restless leg syndrome is anemia. And sometimes supplementing iron in those patients who are anemic could be beneficial for them.
Right.
And guess what? That's an absolute supplement that can help in those situations. But better yet, here's what a good doctor should do. A good doctor should present the options if there's a pharmaceutical one, if there's a natural one.
I agree.
And ask which one resonates with you.
Well, then why are doctors and big supplement fighting with each other? Why are they against each other?
I'll tell
Why
you.
shouldn't they work?
That's a good
shouldn't they
question.
work together?
Because supplement peddlers are pseudoscientific grifting assholes that want you to distrust your doctor and buy their shit instead of getting real treatment. Is that a real question?
Absolutely should.
You know?
Here's what happens. If certain supplements start becoming very well proven in research that they work, they just become regular medicine and we don't even think about them as supplements. Like if
Right.
someone has a vitamin D deficiency or an iron deficiency,
Right.
no one thinks about a doctor prescribing iron or vitamin D, but we do that.
Right.
In fact, there are some rare indications where we use prescription grade omega-3 medications called Lavazza. So we absolutely do prescribe those. Why we go to war with the supplement companies, especially me and my YouTube channel, is because I feel when our healthcare system screws you over and you're hurt because you were misdiagnosed, not listened to, written off, which I'm sure happens.
Which happens.
They go to you and they pretend like they care to sell you something that is potentially unproven
Well, don't
or
doctors do
exaggerated.
the same thing? Do you just automatically assume all doctors care? Because some doctors get into it just for the money.
I think
You know?
that absolutely can happen. I think it's impossible to judge intention on a huge generality like
Okay.
that. But I think the war, just to answer your question,
But look, even if you have like a selfish doctor that like doesn't care as much as other doctors and is just kind of going through the motions for the paycheck, they're still not doing what these piece of shit supplement peddlers are doing by saying, here, take this thing that definitely won't work and will just cause you to fall into a much more serious health condition that you maybe won't be able to get out of. Like the malice of the fucking supplement peddlers is so much greater than even some like egotistical doctor that's just like kind of like, all right, well, this is what you got, so you should probably take this, you know, and isn't like being as thoughtful, you know what I mean? Like, sure, like you can totally be like, this doctor over here is not very good and cite all the reasons why, and there was oversight and they didn't catch this thing and they didn't tell me about this. That you should always get a second opinion if you're in a very serious if you have a very serious condition and you're having serious problems, you definitely should see more than one doctor and get more opinions. That's totally fine. And you can get recommendations and like, oh, everyone says this doctor's good. Totally fine. There's a variable, you know, degree of quality with doctors. But I'm sorry. I like that Mike is like really pushing this angle of like, do you not see how full of shit the fucking alt health industry is? That it's 10 times more dangerous, 10 times more corrupt, 10 times more everything than whatever the fuck you're whining about with Big Pharma. And also this other shit he's saying, he's just like, what do you like? Oh, well, a doctor would never prescribe magnesium. Yes, he fucking would if it helps you with something. He just listed all, you know, vitamin D, all these different vitamins and shit that you can totally just get at CVS in a bottle. A doctor might be, because a doctor understands how the human body works, you go in there with a symptom and they go, well, this is being caused because of a deficiency in this thing. And you just go get pick whichever one you want, right? Go to the store and get get your supplement, your iron supplement, right? Because you're anemic, so you need iron. So take an iron supplement. Doctors do that, right? They fucking understand shit.
is that we want people to tell the truth about their supplement, about their pharmaceutical medication. In fact, there's been lawsuits that have been settled with the pharma industry in the 20-teens for $3 billion by GSK. Do you know what that lawsuit was about?
What?
Improper branding of the two medications, Paxil and Wellbutrin. These two medications were improperly branded.
I remember that.
And pharmaceutical companies were held liable.
Okay.
When do the supplement companies get held liable when they say you'd be faster, stronger, better looking, whatever it is?
Pause. You've been voted out. I'm sorry.
Sorry. Thank you so much.
I had it too.
Back again.
Hello, sir. Good to see you.
Okay, so I want to point out something that you did. 600 million to 2 trillion, correct? You stated that the 600 million was the size of the industry in the United States. You compared that to a global number.
No, the global number is 4 trillion. 2 trillion is the U.S. number. If I
Is the
said it
US
wrong,
number. Okay, all right. So I was just going to call you out of it. The other thing I would like to ask, though, is what is the operational definition? I'm assuming that that's coming from a research article.
Global Wellness Institute.
Okay, Global Wellness Institute. But what I'm asking you is, what is the operational definition? The reason why I'm asking that is because I would bet you dollars to donuts that when they came to defining what a wellness and supplement company is, they threw this wide sweeping net in order to inflate the numbers. Because when I did the research, it said that the supplement industry in the United States was 10% of what the pharmaceutical industry was.
That's accurate.
The other thing, you just said it wasn't.
Because the wellness industry isn't just driven by supplements.
But your prompt was big supplement. So is it big wellness or big supplement?
Big supplement works in tangent with big supplement. Every time you see a wellness influencer, they're not just selling you supplements. They're selling you their courses, they're selling you their get well schemes, the miraculous fixes for whatever is ailing you. And this idea of capturing too many things all at once. When we say that their chronic diseases are significantly higher in children, I think you said that earlier. In the United States, kids are sicker than they used to be.
Oh yeah, I said that. They're sicker, yeah, absolutely.
Higher rates of chronic health diseases.
Yes.
Well, part of that is because there are more conditions that are now being counted in that scenario. And if you look at children's mortality, children actively dying per 100,000, it's actually significantly down over the last 30 years.
So who created the opioid epidemic, Big Pharma or Big Wellness? And how were they held accountable? Hundreds of thousands of people had died.
Agreed.
They had to give up $7 billion.
Agreed.
I spent 7 years of my life for peddling drugs. My impact on people's lives was all compared to what they did. And you're telling me that they were held accountable? That is absolutely, utterly disgusting. So then
Did you go to jail for dealing opioids? I'm trying to piece this together. Look, does pharma give a shit that people get addicted to opioids? No, they don't. Are they responsible for opioid addiction? No, they're not. Painkillers are important medications. Anybody who has had very serious procedures, painkillers are important drugs. Totally sucks that people get addicted to them. It's a societal problem. It's not all on Big Pharma. This is insane. People get addicted to alcohol. Are we going to blame Jack Daniels? People get addicted to gambling. Are we going to go tear down the casinos? There are people with addictive personalities that get addicted to things. That's life. I'm sorry.
My question is, just like what you asked this gentleman, if you're over here saying, hey, we need to light a fire, we need to hold Big Supplement accountable, then my question is, are you also investing equal energy in your own time to saying we need to hold Big Pharma accountable?
Absolutely.
In what way?
In every way. Anytime they say something that's inaccurate, I call balls and strikes.
With doctors too? With pharmaceutical
with
companies?
With doctors, with pharmaceutical companies. You just called out the opioid thing you said, what was their punishment? Well, you said it's $7 billion. I don't think that's enough. I think that there should be harsher punishments for those executives that were making those decisions.
Did you make YouTube videos about it?
Of course, we talk about it all the time.
I don't know enough about your YouTube channel.
No.
If you did,
it's not
then
even about
thank
me.
you.
It's a bigger issue, but it's about trying to figure out what the truth is by calling balls and strikes fairly. So if we do something wrong in the healthcare industry, wrong, I will call it out. And medicine wants to call it out. There's definitely special interest groups. They need to be held accountable. But if you're going to do it sloppily, like how I believe Secretary Kennedy's doing it, you're actually going to have more bad actors. He likes transparency, right? He said he wanted to run on radical transparency. Can I tell you one thing that he did that's actually going to make things much less transparent?
Please do.
Every time HHS enacts a new policy since 1946, they had a period of waiting for public comment, for people who are stakeholders to talk about how this policy will impact them. Guess what Secretary Kennedy ended this year for the first time since 1946?
Do you know why he did it?
Yes.
Why?
I can quote you word for word why he did it.
Okay, so my understanding is
I'm going to read it to you. It's not needed, and it's not very effective.
Okay, but
this is his quote.
The reason why he said that is because the industries were using that process to actually interfere with things.
Wait, hold on a second. Public comment.
Oh, come on now. They can manipulate anything they want. The whole point of what he's doing
they can manipulate anything they want. They're magic. How infantile is, like, Mike just, like, that was a dope little moment right there that Mike just said, like, hey, everything you think RFK stands for, here is a crystal clear demonstration that he is the fucking polar opposite of that. He has brainwashed you into believing that he's this thing that he projects when he's the fucking opposite. And this, oh, he said that they could blah, blah, blah. They just fall all over themselves to make excuses for the shit that he does, and Trump and everybody else. Like, this is the real mind virus. There's no woke mind virus. This is the mind virus that has infected all 15 of these people, where they will just throw out this shit and then never hold accountable their cult leader. They will fall all over themselves to make any excuse imaginable for the shit that they do that is antithetical to what they're pretending to represent. Trump says, I'm going to drain the swamp, turns the White House into the fucking Everglades. Right? Nobody gives a shit. Nobody in the MAGA base is like, hey, wait a minute. He's kind of doing the opposite of what he said he's going to do. It's fucking unreal.
HHS is he's saying, here's how corporate capture is taking place, and here's how we get rid of it. That's all he's trying to do. If you look at what he did with like the FDA, he was saying things weren't centralized, they were ineffective, we don't need this much money, get rid of it. He's saying, here's how the revolving door happens, on and on and on, all these.
It's so adorable that you believe him. This is in effect, like, just like Elon Musk and Doge, right? We're gonna go in there because there's all this wasteful spending, and I'm gonna open up the hood and I'm gonna rummage around and any institution that has any ability to regulate me, all of these institutions that are investigating me for all of my fraudulence, oh, get rid of them, get rid of them. It's all fucking oligarchs doing whatever the fuck they want, making people less safe, getting rid of all of the safeguards, protecting people from private interests, and you just fall for it, right? You're talking about special interests. Do you have any idea what the special interests are that are behind fucking MAGA and everyone in his cabinet? You have a climate change denier as head of EPA. These are the special interests. Everything that Bobby Kennedy, all of these people, Jay Bhattacharya, Marty McCary, they are propped up by special interests. You are whining about special interests while championing the guy who is the product of special interests. Like, the fucking reversal of reality is bananas. I can't handle it.
Things. So even if you don't like Secretary Kennedy in and of itself, you do agree with some of the things that he's.
I don't even go as far as saying I don't like him.
Okay.
I just think that when you cut $3.8 billion from HIV, maternal health research, ALS, when you cut the funding for mRNA vaccines that in the future can perhaps help treat one of our family members from having pancreatic cancer, prevent them from having pancreatic cancer, I think that's not someone I want in charge of HHS.
Okay, but we just went over it. If everybody focuses on their lifestyle changes, we don't need that.
That's not true.
It is true.
If you go to the gym and you eat right, you will be immune to pancreatic cancer. So I have no fucking idea what cancer is, as I've already demonstrated. Like, this motherfucker thinks that exercising and eating right makes it so that you can never get any ailment of any kind ever. How fucking dumb is this guy?
It's true.
Not everything in health is a
true.
lifestyle change issue. A lot of it is, but not everything.
If your VO2 max is in the upper 2 percentile
You'll
for
still
your
get
age
sick.
group, your risk for all-cause mortality is next to nothing.
You
It
think
literally
people don't
doesn't
die?
matter. I'm not saying that they don't die, but they don't die from chronic disease is ultimately what it comes down to.
But do you believe in genetic diseases?
So genes have to be activated. The bad genes are activated by oxidative stress. Literally all disease is related to mitochondrial dysfunction, okay?
Which Secretary Kennedy says he can diagnose by looking at people.
Which is why VO2 max is so powerful. You are judging the respiratory exchange rate.
This motherfucker has no idea what mitochondria even are. The bad genes, gene activation. You don't understand genetics at a 9th grade level. You don't know what a gene is. You don't know how transcription and translation work. You have no fucking idea what you're talking about. Holy shit, man. Oh my God. Cancer is you can get cancer from fucking random mutation, from replicative error. You can get cancer just because. You can get it from just random chance. That's it. That's completely endogenously replicative error. Then mutagens, right? And when I say mutagens, I'm not talking about even necessarily like carcinogens in food or something like that. I'm talking about UV light, right? There's just, you cannot escape mutagens. We are surrounded by them. You have radioactive nuclides decaying in every cell of your body at all times that can let off high energy particles that can damage DNA and that can cause cancer. Everything on a long enough timeline would get cancer. Every human being, actually, every animal, that did not die from something else on a long enough timeline would get cancer, because you cannot retain the fidelity of the genome indefinitely. Every time you get replication and cell division, there are going to be errors. It's only a matter of time before there's mutations in a proto-oncogene that is going to result in cancer. Apoptosis won't work, P53, all this shit, right? It's just a thing that happens in life. Cancer is a thing that just happens. You will get it if you live long enough. That's why so many old people die of cancer. They didn't die of something else. Eventually, you get fucking cancer. Mitochondria, Jesus Christ, man.
Ratio, which is telling you if your body is using fat for substrate or if it's using sugar for substrate. You are then judging the lactate threshold. And if you use more fat for energy and your lactate threshold is further off, there is less oxidative stress in your body, which does not damage genes, which means that your likelihood for cancer and all-cause mortality is next to nothing.
But that's not true.
It is true.
It's not true.
So
then
you're telling me that Dr. Attia is full of shit? Dr. Attia,
I don't think Dr. Attia would agree with you.
I don't know who the fuck that is, but everything you're like, I fucking hate gym bros, dude. Like, these fucking meatheads that are just like, oh man, like take this and take that and do this and do that and you'll never die. You'll never get cancer. Nothing bad can ever happen to you. How fucking delusional do you have to be? Like, I get it that you don't want to die. I get it that you're afraid of dying. We all are. I'm fucking terrified of dying. That doesn't mean that we lure ourselves into this fucking alternate reality where it's like, if you just do this, oh, you'll never get, nothing bad will ever happen. Like, all cause mortality dropping to zero. What the fuck are you talking about? Have a healthy lifestyle, reduce risk of like heart disease and diabetes and all these things. Fucking great. Exercise, do all that shit. But also learn what cancer is, man. Like, learn what cancer is at a high school level. I'm fucking begging you.
I think he would say VO2 max, focusing on that, will decrease someone's likelihood of dying from heart disease. It will improve biomarkers.
He's literally said it. Your risk is next to nothing.
That's not true.
The whole point is that the current system that you are supporting, all right, quality of life goes up. You know, we're in our 30s and our 40s, and it drastically starts to drop.
I don't think it should be that way.
Okay, it shouldn't be that way. It should just be flat, and then all of a sudden we should just go straight down.
Well, I don't think quality of life should ever just go flat. I mean,
well, no. I mean, like, so like my.
I actually think medicine. That's where it up. I think medicine does this thing
Dr.
where...
Attia has talked about the chart where if you look at the difference that drugs have made, it's at the very end of life. It doesn't actually extend life.
A lot of times, yeah.
If anything, there's like this much of a gap as far as improving quality of life at the end. So if you're really looking at the research, the drugs have done absolutely nothing. And the other thing that it does is it shields...
The drugs have done absolutely nothing. Yeah, at the very end of life, when your body is fucking deteriorating, then some drug can have a marginal impact. Right? What are you talking about? Like, my wife has a congenital heart defect. It's called aortic stenosis, and she takes a medication every day of her life. She's had open heart surgery. She's going to have to go in again to do another one. And if she lived anywhere prior to 1960, she'd be dead. She probably would have died in her 30s, and she definitely would have fucking died in childbirth, for sure. In fact, we had 2 miscarriages before realizing that, holy shit, she has to have the procedure done, or she could die trying to carry a child to term. So this is what you're talking about. Like, when you're talking about, when you're going like medication, like, some medication is... Like, do you understand how many people died and from how many different things prior to modern medicine? People died all the fucking time. All the time. That's why the average life expectancy was 30. A lot of it had to do with pathogens, but there was all kinds of other shit that now we can open up somebody. Like, we can, first of all, know without actually seeing their heart, that one of their valves is bicuspid instead of tricuspid, and we can open up their chest and have them not die, go in there, take off the valve, put a different valve in there, sew it all back up, and they continue living, and then she can give birth to children and not die like anybody with that condition would have died prior to the age of 30 before the middle of the 20th century. Like, how do you not have a fucking appreciation for that? So what? She has to take a heart medication for her entire life. She's not dead, and she owes her life to these procedures and these medications, and there's millions of people out there like that. And you're going to talk about, oh, the quality of life, blah, blah, blah. All these people will be fucking dead without so many aspects of modern medicine and the way that we can manipulate human physiology with a molecule, with a fucking molecule. We can design a molecule, you ingest it in a capsule or whatever, however the fuck you take it. It goes in there, it interacts with receptors or enzymes or whatever the fuck it does, manipulates some way that the human body operates and prevents someone from dying. How do you not have a fucking appreciation for that, for how unbelievable that is? It boils my blood that these people just write off all this shit. They don't have a shot in hell at understanding this crap. And they're just like, nah, I preferred when most people died all the time from everything. That was better. God damn it.
People. Sepsis. And you are incredibly sick.
Acute versus chronic. When it comes to acutes, I will sit there and say, yes, we need doctors, yes, we need pharmaceuticals, okay? Sure. But when it comes to chronic
when someone's
disease...
born with type 1 diabetes, are you going to tell that person go VO2 max?
Why are they born with type 1 diabetes?
I don't know. But
you don't know?
You tell me why.
Fucking genetics, dude. What do you mean you don't know?
Do you not maybe think that it's because the mother was unhealthy and there was oxidative stress that possibly...
It definitely raises the risk of it, but you don't think that people will need pharmaceuticals if they just think about their VO2
We
max?
have to make
Why
a
is
choice.
it an either or? Why can't it be both?
Okay, but here's the deal. We only have so much money, right?
Sure.
Do we have unlimited funds?
Well, we can separate it appropriately.
We need to make the decision. Are we going to continue to treat and enable, or are we going to prevent? Okay, if we start taking our money and we start putting it into prevention, things will change, things will happen.
You know what helps with prevention? Vaccines. You know what Secretary Kennedy doesn't support? Vaccines.
Okay, pause.
Thank you.
Yep.
I can't believe we made it over an hour without bringing up vaccines. This is incredible, but I think we're probably going to get into it now. Let's see.
Love the colors.
Thank you so
Yeah,
much, Doctor. It's
absolutely.
good to see you.
Pleasure.
It really is.
Got some notes? I love it.
I do.
Love to see it.
I do. It's not every day you get to sit down across from a doctor.
I mean, if your doctor is not spending time with you, I think you should look for a second opinion instantly.
Perhaps so, but I'm a long ways away from you and you're unique. Okay, so my first question for you is, you spent years in med school.
Right.
You spent years practicing. What has been your chief goal?
To keep patients as healthy and happy and have the highest quality of life for as long as possible.
Okay, I think that's what everyone's looking for from the medical industry. And I did call it an industry.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that that's you.
No, it is me.
Okay.
Don't hedge it. It's me.
It's you. I think what's so important is that the time that you spent there, how much of it was spent trying to give your patients something that would prevent them from getting sick, rather than treating them after they've gotten sick?
A lot.
Okay.
Can I give you some examples?
I'd love it.
When a patient comes in for their annual physical, it's funny to say, but I don't think annual physicals really exist. I think most people come in because they have a problem and then they just tack it on to their annual physical. But I think about what risks they face. Mm-hmm. So if someone has an elevated BMI, not the best way to judge obesity, but using my vision and the BMI number, I could tell if they have obesity. I will check certain blood variables to see if they have prediabetes.
Okay.
I will check their blood pressure, essentially thinking about a form of primary prevention. Because the number one killer in America is heart disease.
Okay.
And my goal is to decrease death, improve quality of life. And the way that I think about that is by preventing cardiovascular disease, which is heart attacks, strokes. The way that I could do that, the two biggest ones, outside of like getting them to stop bad habits like smoking, is lowering their blood pressure to a normal range, getting them to have healthier cholesterol numbers, and getting them to have healthier sugar numbers when they're fasting.
Okay.
That is the biggest thing that I do.
The biggest.
The biggest thing.
Okay.
In addition to thinking about those numbers, I also spend time focusing on their mental health, their sleep. Sometimes that requires doing a sleep study to see if they have sleep apnea, because a lot of people who have high blood pressure, they don't know why. It's because they have sleep apnea and they're not sleeping well.
Okay.
I think about lifestyle changes related to exercise. I incorporate aerobic training and resistance training, especially to those who are older than age 60.
Yeah, see, the problem with all these jerks is they think that doctors don't know any of this shit and don't talk about this shit. They know all of this stuff and they can tell patients all of it, but that's where it ends, is they can just say these things and then it's up to an individual to implement them and make changes, right? They're talking about how, like, what are we doing to prevent stuff? What the fuck do you want doctors to do? Go home with the patient and slap snacks out of their hands when they're about to eat them? What the fuck are you looking for? What is it that you want, right? Do you need someone to, at gunpoint, make someone go on the treadmill? I know that you don't want that and that you'd be losing your mind if a doctor or anyone from the government did do that. So what the fuck do you want? Please tell me. Please make me understand.
Because by keeping your muscles strong, carrying weight on your body, you not only strengthen your muscles, which is a longevity organ, but also keeping your bones strong, especially for women. So a lot of what I do, probably the majority of what I do, is focus on and vaccines.
Okay, and vaccines.
And vaccines.
Okay, let me ask you this. Why is it then you seem to be resistant to supplements when what we've said is that some people have a deficiency of magnesium or iron?
Did you hear a single fucking thing that this guy said? He said that they do prescribe iron supplements, vitamin supplements, when that is clinically necessary. And the issue he has with the supplement industry is that they're a bunch of fucking quacks that sell products that are untested and unregulated. You're seriously asking this question right now. Are you serious?
Or many things. Why is it that it's usually a prescription that is chosen first over these things? And you said that supplements, it's...
What do you mean chosen? He will prescribe an iron supplement. If someone is anemic, he will prescribe an iron supplement. You just said iron supplement. So a doctor shouldn't prescribe an iron supplement. They should go with a supplement peddler and get their iron supplement. What the fuck are you talking about?
How did you say, a for-profit? Of course supplements are for-profit. Pharmacy is for-profit.
Yeah.
But here's my issue. Diabetes makes a lot of money for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Okay? Can we agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, it does.
Is that a bad thing?
Okay, here's the bad thing. Why are we just treating the symptoms of diabetes? Why is it there isn't pills that are being designed to cure the diabetes, but instead to keep us taking the pill for the rest of our lives?
Who do you want
with all
to
the side
create that
effects? I want an industry that is maybe linked to the idea of good health, cure. Why are we treating people for a lifetime and never coming up with something? Metformin has never cured anyone of diabetes.
Yeah.
Yet it's the #1 prescribed drug in America for diabetes. Hasn't cured anyone.
Sure.
Why isn't that the goal?
I think it is the goal. I just don't think we have the cure. And you know how we get the cure? Research dollars. We're weaponizing all these words against Big Pharma, but we need them to create the cure. And look, I'll tell you what some conspiracy-minded people think, and I've thought it too myself, because I think it's important to think about the other side. Is Big Pharma withholding cures because they want us to be subjugated to their medication and paying them their whole life? Reasonable question, right?
Yeah.
I think about that myself. So pharmaceuticals for profit, they'd make a lot of money if they make a cure. Why would they not want to make a lot of money if they make a cure?
Because once the cure comes, then we're not a slave to the, right? We're no longer a slave to their pharmaceuticals.
I think the same.
Yeah.
And yeah, they do cure things. Hep C, bunch of stuff. Yeah, like they do cure things. There are cures for things.
Do you know what my next level of thought is? Do you think when we say Big Pharma, there's one pharmaceutical company or two pharmaceutical companies?
No, there's a lot. There's a lot.
They're in a lot of competition, right?
Of course.
Wouldn't they be deathly afraid if one of their competitors created the cure,
Absolutely.
made billions and trillions of dollars on the cure,
Yes.
and they were left hanging?
Okay, let me show you an example. There was a bag company about 15 years ago.
Let me show you an example. Translation, let me deflect from the very obvious thing that you said, right? I say this all the time, is that these like big pharma, people, they think that pharma is like one dude in a room being like, ha ha ha, I will make all the profit from all the people and I will hide the cure and everything. No, it's a fucking dynamic marketplace. Everyone's trying to produce drugs that have some utility. And if like everybody's trying to make drugs that help people, because if they help people, then there will be an incentive for them to get used and they will be profitable drugs, right? Pharma companies are trying to make drugs that work and help people. That is what they are trying to do, because that's what makes the money. Everybody's trying to make money. Fucking Hallmark is trying to make money. Everything in a capitalistic society is about profit. That doesn't mean that the drug doesn't work. Just because it makes them a profit. It makes them a profit because it works, because it treats something, because it could cure something, or it could just reduce symptoms. It could improve quality of life. Whatever it does, it fucking does something. And there are thousands of drugs that help people that pharma companies can profit off of. And you just dodged his point. And all right, I don't know what the fuck you're going to talk about now.
They made a bag that was so strong, no joke.
A bag?
A bag.
Okay.
It was so strong, it wouldn't rip, it wouldn't tear.
Is this an Hermes thing?
It was an amazing bag. I am telling you, it was an amazing bag. But guess what?
I thought you were going to tell me about the Birkin right now real quick.
No, not at all. They went out of business because guess why? You only had to buy one.
Mm-hmm.
You only had to buy one. It lasted you the next 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is what's going on. These people are in it for the profit.
You think that people manufacture bags that will rip and break on purpose in a few years? Nobody does that, because nobody would buy that fucking bag. This is like your analogy is proving you wrong compared to what Mike just said. Like, that's how badly you're dodging what he just said, is you're making an analogy that specifically runs contrary to the point that you're trying to make. Yeah, nobody is going to, like, a bag lasting 15 years is a good product to make, just like any pharma company is going to try to make a good drug. That's exactly what he's saying.
That's why they rush to try to protect something, okay? So that way they can say, this belongs to us.
When you say protect something, tell me what you mean.
Well, they do the research, they develop a pill, and they make certain that they are legally protected to be the only ones to manufacture that precisely. Yeah. And the only reason that after that period has run out is because it's run out. And then other companies can do other drugs that...
And you know what's messed up about that whole process?
Tell me.
That they... Sometimes when their patent runs out,
yes,
they do like a little shady reformulation.
Right, exactly.
I agree.
Yes.
I think that's shit.
It stinks.
I agree.
Okay, yes.
And I call that out.
Yeah, she's whining about patents on drugs, and he brings up a good point that there's a gray area where you can, like, let's say you patent an anti-specific drug, and then when the patent elapses, you patent the racemate, and then when that elapses, you patent the stereospecific version, right? So and you do a study and you say, oh, well, efficacy is 10% better, so it's a different thing, and then you get like a 10-year extension on the patent. That happens sometimes, and it's kind of bullshit. You know what I mean? It's like they're gaming the system to get more money. That's true, but it doesn't mean the drug doesn't work. It could be some incredible drug that does some incredible thing, and then they just kind of bend the rules a little bit to get a longer window of exclusivity on the profits. So what? It eventually, okay, so once in a while, that's a little fucked up, but you have to have patents. You have to have patents, or nobody would make drugs, right? Pharmaceutical companies, it's the biggest risk in the entire world. There is no other industry where you can spend tens of billions of dollars and come up with fucking nothing, right? Anything else, if you manufacture any kind of product and you don't end up with the profit margin you want, you can still like move the products. You can sell chairs, you can sell cars. Oh no, people don't like my car as much, so we gotta drop the price by 10 grand or something like that. You can still move the cars. There's no other industry where you put 10 billion into R&D chasing a drug target, and then you get fucking nothing. You're left with dick. It's the only thing. It's why the profit margins are a little higher. You got like 15%, and it's why patents exist, because nobody is going to spend tens of billions of dollars if there is a risk of some of that info leaking or whatever it is, and somebody swooping in and beating you to the market with your own drug. If that was the case, nobody would make drugs, and we don't want to live in a world where nobody makes drugs. It would be a worse world. So we have to have patents so that there's a window of exclusivity from which that pharmaceutical company that engaged in all of the risk to try to develop that drug can get profit to offset the expenses and continue operating as a company. Every company has to make a profit or it will cease to exist. It doesn't matter what the fuck you're selling. You could be selling fucking snow cones. Doesn't matter. Pharmaceutical companies have to get their money back. They spend the common person has no fucking idea how unbelievably difficult it is to develop a drug from scratch that has some kind of efficacy for a particular target. It's mind-bogglingly difficult from a synthetic standpoint, from an industrial standpoint. Everything about it is insanely difficult. There have to be drug patents, and they have to expire, right? We do want that period of exclusivity for profit, and then we do want it to expire so that nobody can gouge the market, right? We want that to expire so that other companies can go ahead and make generics, and then it's a competitive marketplace, and then the price of the drug will equilibrate at some price that makes sense, because it's like any other product where if one company is charging this insane amount, well, somebody else is going to undercut them because it doesn't cost that much to make it. So they're going to slide in and make it a little cheaper, But there's a limit to that. You can't make it cheaper than it has to be to get some profit, or nobody will make it anymore. So when you enter the dynamic marketplace, the prices of the drugs equilibrate to where it makes sense in terms of the rules of capitalism, right? Just like any other product, like a fucking sweater, right? You can sell a sweater for this much, whatever. You can't sell a sweater for $2, right? It costs more than that to make it. But so this woman has absolutely no fucking idea how drug development works, how the pharma industry works. Absolutely none of it, and she learned nothing. She learned nothing from this interaction.
Time.
Great work. Thank you so much.
I like you.
Yes,
I like you.
Thank you. My final surrounded claim is that Maha leadership cares less about health and more about money, power, and politics.
Hey, Doc.
Hello.
How are you doing?
Nice to see you.
Good to meet you. So I want to hear what your proof for your claim is.
Yeah, so I think if you care about health, you would put investment into research into finding cures, as we talked about earlier. You look into systemic ways to get the biggest bang for your buck in terms of improving people's lives. I think the Maha movement has said a lot of those things to get PR wins, but hasn't actually executed any of them. Instead, what has happened is we've seen a tremendous cut in these budgets that have been reserved for improving our health.
Which, by the way, wasn't RFK who did that. That was the Department of Government Efficiency who did that. So that wasn't even him. They did that at the beginning of the year.
He's in charge of Health and Human Services, which is
Correct.
Responsible for NIH, FDA,
and DOJ was in charge
CDC.
of cutting all federal agencies, and they were the one who made the cuts. So, like,
I agree with you.
Right.
Where was RFK on television talking about how terrible that is?
He wasn't anywhere because a large portion of that funding wasn't necessarily going to what we thought it was going to. For example,
let's say yes.
You have no fucking idea what any of the funding was going to. Please don't defend Musk and Doge and any of this shit. So I'm hoping to put out my COVID lab leak video. Tonight is Wednesday. I'm putting that out on Friday. This should hopefully come out Tuesday following. So many of you watch this will probably watch my COVID lab leak video. And it's just 100% politics. All of this shit is politics. It's narratives. It's narratives for manipulating the public, garnering support to put particular people in office that are then beholden to private interests. So that's the irony here, is that Trump Bobby, all of these people are the epitome of slaves to private interest, or not slaves. I mean, it's one and the same, right? Trump is a billionaire. He is the private interest. He represents both sides of the coin as the president. That's the insane thing. He's the first billionaire president. So he is both he is both the government and the oligarch, all in one, right? Why do we have to have this rule of twos? Sith and an apprentice, right? Why can't he just be both all in one? And Bobby is the same way. He's rich as shit. All of this is special interest. And let's see where he goes.
Let's say that's the case. You don't even need to prove it.
Okay.
Did he redirect that funding to something better?
No,
he
because,
just cut it.
Yeah, right.
But don't we need to invest more into improving people's
I'll tell you
lives?
why. Because we have so many conflicts of interest in the government, which I think you would agree, right?
Sure.
Part of your claim, and I think you made this earlier, was that RFK actually is like, he doesn't have to report where his funding comes from, which is not true because the head of the HHS, the CDC, the NIH, any head of any federal government agency always has to report any of their financial backings, right? So they do have to report.
That's why his son collects his profits for him. Didn't you hear what he said earlier?
Report that. But if you look at one of the things that people were very upset about, for example, how the NIAC board, right? You're familiar with that, where he cut
No, tell me about that.
So he cut, I believe, a lot of the members of the board there, and
Oh, the
everybody
ACIP.
That's what I meant. Yeah.
The Advisory Committee for Immunization.
Exactly. Yeah. 70 to 80% of that board was not reporting enough of where their financial backing was coming from. So a lot of the
people that he put in there also have conflicts of interest. And half of them are like fucking Robert Malone and shit like that. He cut the entire vaccine safety panel because they're real scientists who actually know what they're talking about, who won't bend over for the new state-sanctioned pseudoscience narrative. And it's not just the vaccine safety panel. There were thousands of layoffs at CDC, all these other institutions. He's basically just cleaning house. Anybody who will not bend over for the new state-sanctioned pseudoscientific narrative is ousted. That's all there is to it. And you know what the ramifications of this shit are? When you have a vaccine safety panel that makes the recommendations for what should be in the schedule for school children and stuff like that, if they no longer recommend some of these vaccines, then programs that offer them for free to low-income families will not pay for them anymore because they're not recommended by the safety panel. And so it's directly causing poor families to not have access to vaccines, which leads to kids dying. We're seeing kids dying. More kids are going to be dying. How the fuck can you continue to get behind someone who is causing the death of children? How do you not see this shit?
Tracking that they're doing in those in that research isn't firstly necessarily going to where you think it's going. What makes you think that they care so much about money, power, and politics when he's not making any money from it? He's clearly being demonized by the media, and they haven't even put any regulations in place. The only thing that RFK has done in the 8 months that he's been in office is the food dye regulation. Everything else has just been a recommendation. There's been no regulations that have been passed by the HHS.
Did you see the first MAHA report that he put out?
I did not, no. Oh, it was in September, right?
No, it was earlier in the year, but it was a big report. He said, look, we're trying to make children healthier. And there were some valuable things. They were focusing on lifestyle changes. That's cool. 7 sources fully made up about research that was never done. When it reached out to the authors, that they listed their reasoning for why they were making certain recommendations. I guarantee you those sources were fully made up. People reached out to the participants' names that were listed as authors, and they quote unquote said, we never did that research, it does not exist.
Okay, what was in the report? Because
I mean, the report is
unfamiliar.
Dozens of pages long.
But what was it about?
About children's health care.
Did it publish any regulation? Was it just regulation?
No, the report was basically like a State of the Union report about what's happening with children's health. But isn't it frustrating or scary that the reasons why they're putting in certain recommendations in the report come from research that fully doesn't exist? And I'll tell you my theory about it, and I can't prove it.
Okay, go ahead.
That they used AI to make those sources, and AI hallucinated those sources, which I've seen happen when I ask AI questions.
I mean, that's exactly what happened. It's absolutely proven. I talk about this in my RFK video as well. It's AI generated. Like, this is how fucking lazy RFK, like what he said earlier as well about how, about what was it? Just like it was September and I told everyone I'd have a thing about autism, so I have to make up a thing. Okay, it's Tylenol, whatever. Okay, I need an awesome MAHA report. Okay, AI, write it for me. Here you go. Like, this is how fucking dumb and lazy these people are. And that's how you know it is all about politics and optics. Because they don't know what the fuck they're doing. They don't know what they're saying. They're not doing anything. They're just like, AI, do it for me. Isn't that incredible?
So to me, I think it's really scary.
Are you talking about the report that talked about like
it's the MAHA landmark report
1 in
that they
30
celebrated.
children have autism? Because that's true.
I'm not arguing about individual claims.
Well, let's talk about that for a second.
Sure. I think more kids than ever before have been diagnosed with autism.
Okay,
I agree.
Why is that? If so, let me just ask you this. Do you think that America is the most unhealthy nation in the world?
No.
Okay, that's
in the
why?
world.
Yeah. We spend the most on healthcare. We're the most unhealthy. We have the most highest rates of chronic disease.
More unhealthy than like all the African nations. More unhealthy. Like, what are you talking about, man? Come on, most unhealthy nation in the world. What the fuck are you talking about? Have you ever been to an underdeveloped nation? I mean, not that I've been to a bunch of them, but it's like, do you have any idea how the world works? Like, honestly.
You're comparing it probably to industrialized countries or like very wealthy nations, but in the world,
we have the highest rates
no.
of chronic disease. Would you say that?
Oh, I think we're up there. Look, who cares about absolutes? We're up there. We're not doing great.
Okay.
Health-wise, we're terrible.
Okay.
In fact, a lot of the capitalistic stuff that got us so unhealthy, all this ultra-processed foods, we're now exporting to other countries and getting them sick, and they're catching up.
Yeah, and I think that that's a problem. Why are you opposing the first figure in 60 years who said that that's a problem?
Well,
so hold on.
I'll answer your question.
Okay, go ahead.
First figure in 60 years that was like, hey, fast food is not so good, and then goes and eats it on a plane with Donald Trump because Donald Trump loves his fast food. That's what we're exporting, right? We're exporting when we talk about ultra processed foods. What is more representative of that than fast food and McDonald's and shit like that? The first person in 60, like, how are all you assholes trying to give RFK a fucking medal for being like, oh, some food is bad. Fast food's not so good for you. Like, what the fuck are you talking? Like, everybody knows that. The people who eat it know that. They don't give a shit. What do you want to happen? What do you want to happen to force people to not eat fast food? Tell me. Can any of you tell me?
This is good, yeah, because I don't think he is. And I don't think he's actually doing anything to oppose it because he's sitting at Steak and Shake and telling people about McDonald's, how they used to fry their fries in beef tallow, and it was so much better. And then answering your question even further, Michelle Obama tried to get kids to have healthy lunches at school. And again, not partisan here because Secretary Kennedy used to be a Democrat also.
Okay.
Michelle Obama had a program for kids to move after school.
Didn't those lunches have like seed oils in them? Because the whole point, he went to the fast food restaurant because they removed seed oils.
Let me finish the point. So whether or not there's seed oils or beef tallow, it doesn't matter. It's still junk food. Michelle Obama tried to get kids to have healthier lunches, and she tried to get them to exercise. You know what people called her on the right? Food police. They hated it. They despised it.
I agree.
Michael Bloomberg in New York tried to put a soda tax on those
here defending the Republican Party.
I said both. I said this shit to Piers Morgan. It was like the fucking hypocrisy of the right. Michelle Obama tries to get children's lunches healthier, and the right is like, whoa, you're a government overreach, this is authoritarianism, blah blah blah, and then RFK comes and says some shit like this, and they just eat it up. It's fucking unbelievable. I said something about the soda tax thing, I don't remember where I said it, probably in some other reaction video, but it's just like, yeah, there's a moment where it was like, hey, can we make the biggest soda size, not this insanely ludicrous size, but just let's make the extra large the biggest thing. And then we're like, no, you can't tell me what to do. I'll have 1 million gallons of soda every fucking day. This is what I want. And then you motherfuckers come over here and you sit here and be like, well, fast food is bad and RFK is saying that. So what do we should listen, like what the fucking hypocrisy is it's unreal. I don't know where do you people come from? Where do you come from?
But the issue is he's part of the Republican Party that's driving these issues.
He's part of an independent party.
But he's not. He's part of the administration.
Sorry you've been voted out. Please return to your
Thank you
seat.
so much. Appreciate it.
The Trump administration is a Republican administration. He was appointed by Trump to be head of HHS. He's in the Republican Party because he has no allegiance to anything, right? It's just whatever affiliation will get him power. That's it. That's all it is, right? He stepped down from running for president in quid pro quo to endorse Trump. That's what it was. Right? It was just like, hey, if you step down, I'll give you a job. I'll give you the job you want. And he's like, okay, I'm a Republican now. How spineless is that shit? Not that I give a fuck about the Democratic Party, but come on, Republican Party? I'm sorry. Anybody, it's like, okay, we're not going to get into that. But both parties suck, but Republican Party sucks way more.
Hello, hello. Nice to meet you.
Good to meet you. Okay, this is something I personally know a little bit about because I joined the campaign to
cool.
see for myself if RFK was crazy.
Okay.
And
Did you think that initially?
No.
Oh.
I listened to some of his podcasts, read his like memoir on his family, and I was like, it sounds like this guy cares about people.
I actually would probably not disagree with that.
Yeah.
I mean, good intentions can have terrible outcomes, though.
Right. And I do have like I was specifically like following his vice president, Nicole Shanahan, like around the country for 8 months. She had put together this think tank to figure out how to like fix climate change. Basically came back, said all green energy is bunk. There's one thing that we could do to become carbon neutral, and that's regenerative farming. But we'd have to switch over 200,000 acres, I think, of farmland. We either have to be able to explain why we're doing everything. Otherwise, we're going to end up in the situation that I think we are now. Tylenol, to me, was the antithesis of everything I had been trying to do. And whatever, I'm not there doing it, so like I don't represent them. But that was a disaster because we're here now fighting more instead of working together.
Do you think we're fighting?
Me and you?
Yeah.
No,
Oh.
but I do think that MAHA and the traditional medical world, there is a lot of misunderstanding, and it's not good for anybody.
What is the misunderstanding?
I mean, I think the skepticism with doctors that began with COVID. And I don't think RFK is in HHS without COVID. I think that there has been a disaster that has just kept going, and somehow we need to come together and make sense of this.
Well, I'm hoping today.
What is this great disaster with healthcare and COVID? I'm still waiting to get an answer on this that makes a fucking ounce of sense. I think that's a narrative that you got fed and you bought it and you're regurgitating it. In actuality, you have no idea what doctors do or have any appreciation for it. But I think that you're right in the sense that all of the insanity and all of the extreme polarization against the scientific community and medical community that came out of COVID due to political special interests and all the lies and all the propaganda that has polarized you and all of these people against science has led to a figure like Bobby Kennedy becoming head of HHS. But what the fuck do doctors have to do with that? That's just assholes peddling propaganda that you fell for. That's all it is.
That could be it.
We're going to solve the whole
Well,
thing.
no,
right?
I think by having these conversations we
Yes.
can. Because, look, okay, Secretary Kennedy got Skittles, I believe, to remove titanium dioxide, a random chemical outside of Skittles.
Yeah.
But, let's be as genuine and honest as possible today.
All right.
Is that the reason why Skittles is not considered a healthy food for kids?
Probably not.
So, I feel their administration is getting all these, random PR wins that aren't actually making America healthy. Mm-hmm. And I would love...
Beautifully said. They're PR wins. That's exactly what they are. It's just like, see, he's trying to do the thing. He's trying to get rid of the thing and no, he's not doing shit. It's just like, it's something to point to while he makes children die of preventable diseases. That's it.
Love for Americans to get healthy, but they're just not doing it, and they're distracting everyone with all of this noise that I feel actually harms people.
I mean, I don't entirely disagree. It feels, as someone who's trying to support this, it feels like there's sabotage in the administration.
Okay.
Straight up. I think the solution probably is, okay, HHS is cool for the first time ever, whether we like the guy that became the face of it or not.
It's not cool for the first time ever. It's being fucking demolished by a disgusting fraud who is firing all of the legitimate scientists in these organizations. What the fuck are you talking about? It is a mess. It's chaos. It's chaos because of Bobby Kennedy. He's the grand wizard of chaos that is ruining public health. What are you talking about?
He's a 70-year-old healthy man who overcame heroin and talks to eagles. Like, that's not the worst thing we could be dealing with.
I think Falcons are cool.
Yeah, but he needs help from the medical industry. He needs help from the pharmaceutical industry because it can't all be bad.
I agree.
I would argue.
Because if someone fainted here today,
you're
we're all calling 911 or we're yelling for me to help.
Helping
yeah, that's the thing.
Yes.
I don't know if you saw during the GLP-1 press conference.
Yes.
There was an individual. This person fainted. Did you see what Secretary Kennedy did?
Makes no sense.
Well, tell me what he did.
He split out of the room as if.
What do you think I'm going to do if something was to happen to you right now?
Well, you took an oath. You have to help me.
Okay, so why is Secretary Kennedy the one going out and saying, I care about profit? Am I going to ask? Okay, I'll tell you even a cooler story that no one even really knows. I was on an airplane last week. I was flying across the Atlantic Ocean to France.
Yes.
I was exhausted. I didn't sleep the night before. The reason I didn't sleep the night before was because I was doing a Make-A-Wish in Disney with a child who was dying of a cancer, who's only buying time because of the miraculous work at one of the Texas medical institutions. After that, I flew back home, only to fly the next day to France. I'm exhausted. They ask, is there a doctor on board? I'm exhausted, but I care about the patient more. I volunteer. I help one individual. There's a second medical emergency. I help the second individual. There's a third medical emergency. I help that individual. Do I need props for that? Do I need money for that? I couldn't care less. I want to help people. These are the type of people and there's so many of them. It's not me. This is who I work with, the people that I surrounded myself with, the colleagues. Do they fail at times? Do they make you feel gaslit as a patient? Yes. We suck at that because our system sets us up as doctors for failure. Healthcare spending is at an all-time high. Absolutely true. Is that because doctors are getting paid more? Absolutely not. It's because administrators have ballooned beyond any reasonable level. Pharmaceutical companies have no transparency. Pharmacy benefit managers who take kickbacks and all sorts of rebates with zero transparency break the system. And instead of going after those issues, Secretary Kennedy's calling me a profit monger. Aren't you mad at that?
Yes, I absolutely am, because I care about people. And I think that we should be doing a better job. And I think that a big part of what America, there's a hurt that our food systems have been ignored by large corporate power that does run things. And somehow this movement has come out of a place of people being like, there's important things like nutrition that needs picked up. Does it need to get taken over by big supplements? God, no.
Yep.
We don't want more.
Pause. You've been voted out.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Appreciate
absolutely.
it. Hello, sir.
Good. Good to talk to you.
Pleasure.
Yeah, going off of what the other guy said, you're saying that why is the RFK's industry, why is he attacking you personally, right, as a doctor? And I don't think he's ever called you out, Dr. Mike, what you're saying. But I
He just says all doctors.
Right, but I understand what he's saying is that the fact that there is a profit margin that they're trying to meet in the medical industry. They're merging with government, like during the COVID scam, right? And they had people like Dr. Fauci in, which was pushing these mRNA harmful shots into the public.
Okay, just get the fuck out of the chair. What are you talking? The COVID scam. It wasn't a real pandemic. Put Dr. Fauci pushing the harmful. You just are a walking regurgitation of the propaganda you've been fed. You're an empty husk of a person. You have absolutely no fucking idea what's going on. You are just repeating some shit you heard.
Through government-mandated vaccines, right?
Well, we had options that weren't mRNA.
Well, no, we did not have an option because
I'm saying there were vaccines that were not mRNA.
No, it was not an option to take whatever shots that was mandated from government. Because
what the fuck are you talking about? He's saying that there were COVID vaccines that were mRNA based and ones that weren't mRNA based. And do you know which ones were the harmful ones? The ones that were not mRNA based. All 10 of the confirmed deaths in America from COVID vaccines were from the Janssen vaccine, which was vector based. It was not an mRNA vaccine. There are no confirmed deaths from Pfizer, Moderna in America, anything like that. Even globally, I think it's a few dozen. It's a couple dozen. that are confirmed to have died from the COVID vaccine. They're mostly Janssen, a couple from AstraZeneca. Both of them were immediately removed from the market once it was realized that there was that extremely thin correlation between those conditions and those vaccines. And that's 6 billion doses worldwide. 6 billion around the world, and a few dozen people died. And I don't want to minimize the deaths, tragic deaths, but how many lives were saved from vaccination? Millions. Millions. So when you start whining about these awful poisonous shots that killed so many people, no, they fucking didn't. Someone told you that they did, and you believed them. I don't know why. I don't know why you would believe them, because it's a story that makes you feel smart and special. You have no fucking idea what you're talking about. You don't know what mRNA is. You don't know what the different vaccines were that were available. You don't know whether they're mRNA or vector-based. You have no fucking idea what you're talking about.
Because
right, some of them were not.
The country wasn't locked down, right? The country wasn't locked down. We had masks over our faces. We had these media pouring out all these propaganda to us.
No, the propaganda is what you fell for. You're pretending that all of this shit, we have this lockdown and we had masks. Nobody forced you to put fucking masks on. Nobody forced you to do anything. Nobody followed you around at gunpoint and made sure you didn't go to your friend's house. Like, you act like there's this fucking draconian, Orwellian, authoritarian shit going on. No, it was the government just being like, hey, there's a deadly pandemic going on. Can you just not like get together so much in big groups, please? And you did it anyway, right? Like the way that conservatives completely just overblow everything about the pandemic is just cartoonish. It's just fucking insane. Mandate this, mandate that. Nobody fucking forced you to get a vaccine. There are other vaccines in the past that have been mandatory, compulsory vaccines, such as the smallpox vaccine. There have been countries that physically forced their citizens to get the smallpox vaccine. And now we don't have smallpox. Isn't that pretty good? Do you think that we should not have done that? If that's your stance, that's fine. But the point is that we didn't do that with COVID vaccines. There are a fuck ton of people that didn't get them. And guess what? That's why we had this gigantic host pool within which the virus could mutate, which caused all the new variants that continue to infect people, such as Omicron. That's the only one I ever got. I got COVID once. It was Omicron because it fucking mutated, and so even vaccinated people could get it because the spike protein changed enough that antibodies from existing vaccines didn't recognize it, and we were not immune to new variants that have sufficiently mutated, and that's because of assholes like you that are just like, this propaganda, this is all this propaganda, and I'm not going to do anything because of propaganda. God damn it.
That's right. So at the beginning of the pandemic, it was 2020, they were saying that, all right, so this is a very dangerous virus that's coming out of Wuhan, China. And like what you were saying about knowledge, informing the public, they did not give us the proper information about how to treat this virus.
We didn't know.
No,
it was new.
wait. No, we did. No, the public didn't know, right?
I didn't know.
Okay, well, maybe you didn't. Okay, so I'm
we
gonna
did. It was
assume
new.
I'm gonna assume you did it, right?
How can we just magically know what to do? Everybody in the early part of the pandemic was just trying to, like, they were trying fucking everything, right? We were repurposing generic drugs, seeing what everything does. And then they were trying they developed vaccines at fucking lightning speed. Like, what the fuck do you want? What do you want medical professionals to do? They're not magic. They're fucking people like you, except not dumb.
But we didn't know. So the doctors were coming out saying, no, we need zinc, vitamin D, sunlight. People were told to stay indoors.
I agree though.
We need sunlight will kill viruses. Nobody was told to stay indoors. Nobody was told you can go in your fucking yard and get sunlight. What the fuck are you talking about? All of it was just we have to make sure that we're not gathering thousands of people at a time we can't get in large groups where we're coughing and breathing all of each other and spreading the virus. Nobody said you can't go outside of the front door of your house. Like, how are you, like, we cannot have a good faith discussion about anything when this is what you're fucking bringing to the table, you MAGA assholes. Oh, they said there were cops driving on my street and they shot at you if you came outside of your house. That's what happened. I'm not making that up. That's mandates. We're not living in the same world.
That was stupid.
Yeah, that was very stupid. And being locked in.
The closing of the beaches and all that stuff.
Hydroxychloroquine, right? Hydroxychloroquine. Trump was saying it's hydroxychloroquine in my work. And people just got on him, attacked him for it.
Because it doesn't work. Because it objectively doesn't treat COVID. Just like ivermectin. It's just assholes trying to make a buck, and you fell for it.
Now we know it works. I've taken it myself.
No, it doesn't work. You pretend it does. You've taken it. It didn't do anything. You got better because almost everybody who gets COVID gets better, and then you pretend it was hydroxychloroquine that did it. It wasn't.
My friends have taken it myself. The common flu, and it does work, right?
I would say that the evidence says otherwise.
No, it does work. Basically what I'm saying is the pharmaceutical industry, through people like Anthony Fauci and Dr. Deborah Birx, they're merging with big government in order to do these lockdowns, in order to have government mandates, medical mandates, in order for us to take these. So I don't think you can.
Well, that's a shit strategy because nobody forced you to get anything. Nobody forced you to get a vaccine, which also is not a huge earner for the pharmaceutical industry in the first place. You guys whine about pharma wants to keep you sick. Pharma wants to keep you sick. Well, why the fuck would they develop vaccines that prevent illness then? You fucking idiot. God damn it. Fauci, like, this is the dumbest person so far. This is the dumbest person in the episode so far. It's insane.
Compare what RFK Jr. is saying along with what the medical industry, what he's going up against is saying.
Okay, pause. You've been voted out.
Ah, shoot.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you. Hello, pleasure.
Dr. Mike. Can you repeat the claim just real quick?
We're on claim that the MAHA leadership cares less about health and more about money, power, and politics.
So the previous Health and Human Services secretaries, they all cared about health, would you say?
I would say that they put a higher emphasis on health, yes.
Okay, do you know our rating in the world for maternal mortality rate, infant mortality,
it's
obesity,
terrible.
type 1 diabetes,
Terrible,
type 2 diabetes?
terrible,
We lead in
terrible.
all developed nations across the world.
Terrible.
And for chronic diseases,
Terrible.
we're number 1 in the world.
I don't
Even
think we're
non-developed
number
countries,
1
right?
in the world.
Yeah, we are.
Okay.
For chronic diseases in a single biome,
Again, it depends
we
what
lead.
you put into the chronic disease,
Yeah.
but yes, okay.
So all this, and did you have any, like...
Yeah, it depends what you put in there because underdeveloped nations are not diagnosing for a lot of the shit that goes in the umbrella of chronic disease. So we're talking about like neurological disorders and stuff too, where you think that people in Guatemala are getting diagnosed for ADHD. No, they fucking aren't. I mean, some are. I'm saying, okay, I chose Guatemala at random. I'm not. Like, there are definitely places in the world where citizens do not have the access to diagnostic criteria the way we do in America. So don't you think that has an impact? Because yes, it does.
Yeah, I have a
for
reason.
The past,
well,
for
I
the
have
people
a
that
reason.
were in charge before, did you go against them? Because our health has been on a steady decline.
I think that we're conflating a couple of things, and check my logic.
Yes.
So if you think my logic is flawed, tell me why.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the reason we got to where we are today is multifactorial, meaning for a bunch of reasons. But the biggest reasons, I think because we live in a capitalist nation, we try and get people to eat the foods that are most addictive, that taste the best, that make us very unhealthy. And just like any other thing that we do in society, when we tire it out for making profits on one end, we try and create solutions for those problems and make money on making the solution. This happened with horse and carriages where there was poop all over the streets, and now we have the issues with cars and people are trying to figure out ways how to make money by cleaning our environment. We're a capitalist nation. So over the last 50, 100 years or so, the chronic health diseases have gone up because people have gained a lot of weight from eating really unhealthy foods, not because we in the healthcare system necessarily have failed them, and there was instances why we have, but it's just because these foods were so addictive, we tried to create the highest profit margins and not take health seriously. Also, social media, electronics, people not leaving their homes, being sedentary. There's folks, I have patients who don't leave their house for days because they can have relationships with people online. They have their virtual realities where they don't have to participate in sports or any kind of other activities. So in general, our lifestyles have gotten unhealthy. But to blame that on past health and human services secretaries, I feel like is an inaccurate way to blame somebody.
Well, I'm just using your logic because you said he doesn't care about health. So if it's been on a steady decline, then that means all the previous ones didn't care about health.
I think
and if our increase in spending is what, $5 trillion in healthcare, it's $10 trillion worldwide. We spend 50%. Compared to the whole world in healthcare, we're ranked #1 in all those categories. So if it's been on a steady decline, then you have to have some against all the previous ones too, right?
So you're looking at certain numbers and you're just zooming in on those numbers. Again, as I mentioned earlier, chronic health diseases have gone up. Part of that is because there's less acute death. So we've had wins in preventing acute deaths. So people who have sepsis, who have strokes, who have heart attacks, pharma has been driving the survival of these individuals. Now here's the problem. When you solve someone's acute illness, they end up being a sick person for longer and end up turning into a chronic health patient. So this is an interesting example of our successes actually counting against us. So vaccines eliminating certain conditions in the world, smallpox, polio, measles in the year 2000s, it's back now, has led people to believe that these diseases aren't so bad because they don't see them because we've eradicated them. When we help people survive a heart attack and now they become a chronic health patient, we view that as a failure because chronic health numbers are going up. I view it as partially a failure because we could do better there, but also a win that we helped them overcome and mortality has dropped.
Yeah, well, our lifespans increased, but our health spans decreased. So by 2050,
what's your definition of health span?
So longevity of like not chronic diseases, obesity, type 1 diabetes, maternal mortality,
yeah, and
those things. So all of those have.
I think lifestyle changes are big.
So our lifespans decreased, but our health span has decreased. By 2050, we're going to be ranked 66 in the world in life expectancy.
Because
none of that means anything. Also, health span doesn't mean anything. But it's like, I love just like Mike said some really good shit there about just like why America is uniquely, we're more sedentary and, we just culturally, we just eat these foods and stuff. And he just blows right by it. It's just like, what are like, and just goes back to talking points. Like what, I've said it 8 times now, but just like, what do these people want from doctors? What do these people want from healthcare professionals? That like, if somebody isn't exercising or eating healthily, what the fuck is anyone supposed to do about that? And if they did something, you'd be furious about it. So I don't know, man.
Because those are not very accurate. And one medication coming out, like we're seeing with the Ozempic, Wegovy's that RFK is now excited about, can drastically change those outcomes. So it's very difficult to predict those numbers in the future. I will say, like, just zooming in and saying, everyone before Secretary Kennedy was terrible because chronic health disease has gone up and Secretary Kennedy must be better is just not true. Maybe the previous ones could have been better as well. I've criticized Fauci. I criticized Dr. Fauci to his face.
All I'm saying is they didn't care about health either.
Well,
so if you're going to make that claim, you have to make that claim for everyone else.
I think they did.
That's all I'm saying. So
I think they did.
Keep it consistent.
There's difference between they didn't care about health or their policies were unsuccessful. I don't think Secretary Kennedy is actually doing any policies that are meaningfully successful right now.
Okay, pause. We're out of time.
Yeah, I wanted to get into pharmaceuticals, but
so many choices. I feel like we had a very argumentative end. I chose Jack for the final debate because I feel Jack is arguing in good faith. I believe Jack is very passionate, and I also feel a little bit bad by raising my voice earlier. It was because of passion for patients, but I wanted to rekindle our relationship and see if we can get on a better page. How do you feel about coming up?
Don't get on a better page. That, how you were talking to him is how you need to be the whole fucking time. And I'm glad you did it a little bit, but then I'm sad that, well, he was, in the second half, he's been better than the first half, but that was like the only part was like, this is it, Mike. Lock into this shit.
I said, how do you feel about coming up? But it sounds
I'm blessed. I'm very grateful to talk to you. I mean, I've watched your stuff. I've known who you are for many, many years. My surrounded claim is that unchecked big pharma is reason enough for Kennedy's reforms. So I guess what I want to start this off with is just a little bit of history, okay? And in 1986, what was signed into law by Ronald Reagan was the National Child Vaccine Injury Act. And from there, you are no longer able to sue companies like Pfizer, holding them accountable for vaccine injury or things like that, for the specific reason that they wanted the releasing of vaccines to be more effective to the public, right? So they set up a national compensation fund. Then you're playing by the federal government's rules in their own courts. And so also another thing that happened is in 2010, I'm going to cite this, is there was a Supreme Court case called Citizens United versus FEC. What they decided in the Supreme Court case was that now a corporation is a person, is a singular person, and that to restrict the amount of money that they are able to give to somebody running in a campaign would be infringing on their First Amendment right of freedom of expression. And so from there, we now have today where 95 out of 100 United States senators are now backed by Big Pharma. And then you also have on the flip side, referring back to what Ronald Reagan did in the 80s, you have a large amount of doctors now that are being paid off. As I'm going to bring up the statistic again, 70% of research being published by physicians is published with a conflict of interest. 80% of NIH funding comes from Big Pharma. Things like these, I say, are reason enough that Kennedy's reforms need to take place.
It's interesting, you bring up quite a few subjects. I'll start with the Vaccine Injury Fund. I think that's valuable. I think perhaps your interpretation of the rule there is not exactly accurate.
Okay.
If you go through this National Injury Vaccine Compensation Fund and you're not happy with what you received, and you're saying that they didn't give me enough money or it's taking too long, you could drop out and you could sue a vaccine manufacturer. That's absolutely true. You could
That's
fact check
unequivocally
me.
true.
That's unequivocally true.
But the thing is that...
Yeah, it's like, I love that. It's like, you can't sue vaccine. Do you know that RFK's primary source of income is referrals for suing vaccine manufacturers? That's how he makes most of his money. So when you sit here and like, well, you can't sue... What the fuck are you talking about? The guy that you're defending makes most of his money doing exactly that. And this fund is just there to facilitate the process of people getting compensated by working directly through a fund instead of having to enact individual lawsuits, which are a fucking nightmare to try to go through, right? It's just like, here's a system in place where if you've been vaccine injured, there's a precedent set and you can go through this route, you can get compensated. It happens nowhere near as often as any of these assholes pretend, but it does happen. Vaccine injuries do happen. Most of them are incredibly mild, but on rare occasion, it's a very bad one. Even on extremely rare occasion, deaths. So that there should be accountability for that. There should be compensation for that. And that's what that fucking fund is for. And guess what? You can still sue vaccine manufacturers. That's how RFK has become as rich as he fucking is. I forget the other thing that Citizens United. Yeah, Citizens United. I mean, yeah. But that doesn't have just to do with pharma. It has to do with every fucking special interest that there is. Yeah.
Problem is, in our country, we have Big Pharma has protections that no other, I was trying to get out here for Big Supplement because I was going to argue that Big Pharma has protections that Big Supplement does not.
Well, they have protections, but they also have a...
No, what are you talking about? Big Supplement, like, Big Pharma the pharmaceutical companies have to go through these checks and balances to prove that their drugs are safe and have efficacy. They have to do that in order for the drug to get onto the market. That's what the fucking FDA is for. And that's why you guys championing RFK. This is the ultimate irony. You're talking about RFK as this bulwark against Big Pharma. What the fuck do you think slashing FDA's budget in half is doing? It's making us less protected from Big Pharma. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? These are the agencies that ensure that the products are safe and do what they say that they're going to do. So when you cut the budget there and then you still pretend that RFK is like protecting us from Big Pharma, it's the exact opposite of what he's doing. What are you talking about?
Responsibility to put out research that is checked by independent researchers where Big Supplement doesn't. Like, how do we know that taking a medication to lower your blood pressure prevents a heart attack? Because they did the research studies to prove it. Mm-hmm. But when someone recommends a supplement, they don't have to do that.
So I think it's different. So in the state of California, as of 1980, as of 1980, in all 50 states, you were required to get a vaccine to go to public school, right? This is the thing. So the difference between big pharma and big supplement is choice. You have several different manufacturers or companies making the exact same thing. The reason why something is called a supplement is because you're supplementing something that's already in your diet. So in today's day in America, 70% of children have, 70% of a child's diet is now ultra-processed foods, right? And so from there, you're having things like vitamin C, creatine, all these things, which already exist in the foods we eat, which we are now lacking at a rate like never before because of the diet we have in America.
Do you think there's a widespread issue of vitamin C deficiency in the United States?
I'm not sure specifically about vitamin C.
Well, you just
I don't
said
know.
vitamin C.
Well, I'd say
Creatine deficiency, I don't know.
But I'm saying is, so creatine appears in foods like steak, whatever else, and when we're eating those less than we did before, it's necessary
We're
that
eating red meats less than before?
I would say so.
No,
Natural
the
red
American
meat.
standard diet is full
Natural
of
red meat.
Yeah, it's like, come on, man. Just like everybody's free. Like everybody's free to get whatever the fuck they want from the grocery store. Okay, you don't have to have all your meals at McDonald's. But you're gonna whine about vaccine mandates for school children. That's really what you're gonna whine about. You have a choice. You do have a choice. You can homeschool, or you can go to some weird fucked up private school that doesn't require that. But no, you have to, a governing body has to take some measures to ensure the safety of its citizenry, right? There has to be regulations in place. Can you drive down the left side of the street? No, you fucking can't. Everybody, this is what we do. We drive down the right side. And if you break that rule, right? Oh, my freedom. I can drive wherever I want because this is a free country. No, we've all decided this we're going to do because if we don't do that, a lot of people are going to die in accidents on the road. Same shit with vaccines. You have all these preventable diseases. We have these vaccines that have decades-long track records of being safe and effective, and it makes sure that kids don't die from fucking measles and whooping cough and tetanus and all this other shit. And you are gonna whine about that. Of course you are. Oh my gosh, I hate that children aren't dying of these diseases anymore. I prefer a time when children were dying of this shit all the time. Let's go back to that, right?
What a cheeseburger is made out of is not necessarily the same as what
I think
comes
this
from
is a really cool thing for us to end on because it's going to be about me making a disclosure that I'm curious how it lands for you.
Okay.
Are you familiar with the pharmaceutical company Abbott?
No.
Okay, well, there's a pharmaceutical company. It's a giant pharmaceutical company. They're called Abbott Labs. They paid me over the last 5 years. I created content for them. Do you think that biases me as a physician to be a worse physician?
I would have to know more about you and things that you said, things that you reported, things like that to be able to say that.
Based on the conversations you heard today. Or is it reasonable to think that it biases
you haven't talked
me?
about Abbott.
Well, here's the reason why I bring it up. Because some people bring this up as a way to sort of weaponize the fact that I've taken money from Big Pharma. And I think it's reasonable to bring it up whether or not it does bias me. I think I should evaluate that within myself. Here's what I took money from Abbott for. To create a multi-year-long campaign to encourage blood donation.
Okay.
Abbott is one of the largest testers in the United States of donated blood. So they make money by checking donated blood to make sure it's free of diseases, because that's what we want, right? Like if you get into a car accident, you get a transfusion, you want disease-free blood. So I think it's a good thing that they do that. And they were facing a huge shortage, especially after the pandemic. So they hired me to try and figure out a way to encourage blood donation.
So your main argument would be that we should look into, the actions that people are actually taking when they do take money from companies or whatever that be, and we want to see what people are doing with it.
Sure.
So should you say that that argument then applies to RFK's actions after winning lawsuits and getting paid from those?
Sorry, I didn't follow.
Okay, so then you criticize RFK from taking money, right? So I think that we should say here is, we need to apply that exact same logic to Kennedy, because you criticized him heavily for taking money in the lawsuits and the cases
I
that
didn't
he's
criticize him. I presented that because someone said earlier that if someone is biased by taking money from a pharmaceutical company, I said, how is he not biased if he's taking money from a lawsuit case?
So I think generally your overall argument is that so often bias isn't necessarily a bad thing.
I think bias that is hidden is a bad thing.
Okay, how would you say that something is a hidden bias when you have situations like on a grand scale in the United States, and this is kind of my overall problem, right, is that you're seeing that this money is actually making a difference. It's not just somebody supporting a company or whoever is giving them money because they believe in what that company stands for, right? Because what we're seeing is if you give a doctor even a meal as small as $20, then they're actually going to be more likely to prescribe from that company.
So do you think I'm more biased because I took a lot of money from Abbott?
That's the thing, I don't know anything about
But you just said $20 will bias you. So I took way more than $20, I promise you.
But are you actively writing prescriptions right now?
Of course, I'm a practicing physician. But do you know how many vaccines Abbott, for example, makes here?
No.
0.
I'll say you specific. I'll say, you know, I'll be respectful. You got me there, but that's the thing is I just don't know.
But it's not about getting there. It's about the fact that, like, my issue with bias is, to me, bias becomes an issue when it's hidden and there's a lack of transparency.
Okay.
And I fault a pharmaceutical company for playing these games with pharmacy benefit managers. They play these types of untransparent issues all the time, and I hate it. But when you have administrators within the MAHA leadership, Casey Means, Kaylee Means, these individuals can be taking money from companies and no one is aware of who's taking the money. But when you look at the Sunshine Act, which requires pharmaceutical companies to tell the truth about doctors taking money, you know
so
the
thing is that
transparency is there.
when it comes
Don't you
to-
think there's less bias when there's transparency?
Yes, absolutely. That's one of the things that RFK and the MAHA movement represents.
So
is
when he
transparency.
shuts down public opinion after an HHS policy, you think that's transparency?
It's specific to shareholders, and they want to know what they
Stakeholders.
Stakeholders.
Stakeholders meaning that a policy that will impact someone's life. So imagine HHS was ruling on a policy for a condition that you had. They just cut HIV funding. I'm not saying you have HIV, but let's say someone has HIV. Well, let's take that back. Let's say someone has HIV and they just cut HIV funding. Before, HHS would have to have a time of public opinion to voice concerns about that. He removed it. Where is the radical transparency?
So here's the thing. The one thing you need to understand about the federal government is that it is intended to move slow. Right, and the thing is that the Senate legislation, they're in charge of the purse of the United States of America, and right now we're on a government shutdown, right? And so in order to get a lot of funding for these things, it has to come from the legislation. And so until we can get spending, which, I mean, Democrats wanted to increase our spending on Medicare and Medicaid by $1.5 trillion. So until we get this money, you can make cuts, but it's largely, it's very, very difficult for the federal government to then add things.
So Secretary Kennedy is part of an administration that controls the legislative branch, the executive
No, it does not.
branch.
There is separation of powers. The executive branch does not control.
Well, they have the majority in the legislative branch.
Well, the majority is nothing when you have
executive branch and the judicial branch. Why is more not being done to rein in pharmaceutical companies? Why is more not being done about improving chronic health conditions with children instead of talking about Skittles and titanium dioxide?
Well, it's not.
Yeah, it's a good point. I mean, it's like, oh, doesn't have. I mean, give me a break. Republicans have the Senate and the House. The Supreme Court is stacked for Republicans. Mike's absolutely right, right? All of this change that you want to see, why isn't the Trump administration just magically making it happen? Because they don't actually represent the things that they say. Put 2 and 2 together.
It's not that simple. You have something in our Senate called a filibuster. So even if Republicans have a majority,
So
we are still on a
did he
lockout.
present something that someone filibustered against? You're talking about all these hypotheticals.
I'm talking about why they can't get money in the first place. Is because we're in a shutdown.
Money for what?
The federal government
I mean,
gets
we've
money
been in
from
a
the legislation
shutdown
when they
for
pass a
a
bill.
month or so. What about the time that he was in office before that?
Well, the thing is the federal government, like I said, it moves very, very slow. So the very beginning of his administration was intended to, okay, look over those things, bring oversight, and then make these cuts. And now when it comes time to actually pass a spending bill, we're not able to do that because we're in a lockout and we can't even agree on things like this. Even when you have a majority,
give me a break, man. Like, he's been in office for 9 months now. You're gonna blame everything on a 1 month shutdown? Come on.
Filibuster is still very, very powerful, but I still don't think that it should be
So
abolished.
let me ask you this, because this is a good question for me to understand your position better. Secretary Kennedy's been in the office about a year. Is that fair to say? It's a little less than that, but let's say a year. So far, he's removed red dyes, which I think is a good thing out of kids' foods. Some random other things about swapping oils for one another, which I don't think makes a big difference. Removing certain chemicals.
So are you upset with him by not doing
No.
enough?
I want to recap everything he's done, and then we could talk about it.
Okay.
So those are the big things he's done. He's also published the MAHA report, this landmark report that they celebrated that had false sources in it, inaccurate statistics. He did a press conference saying that he swore he'd find the cause of autism, where he said the cause and then 2 weeks later took it back. You feel like this is a good first year for him?
Well, the thing is that science is a constant thing. Science is constantly developing. And so you can't necessarily hold him to something that he says.
Shut the fuck up. Science is constantly developing. So assholes like Bobby can just lie out of their fucking lying mouths all day, every day about science, and then go, oh, well, science is evolving. No, science didn't evolve from the time, like every time that he has said that vaccines cause autism, he's been objectively wrong. It's not, oh, the science showed this and then now we have no, he's fucking lying. He's lying. It's not science evolved, whatever the fuck you're talking about. God damn it.
even when he retracts it. I would honestly say that that itself is transparency.
So what happened in the 2 weeks from when he said Tylenol did cause autism to when it didn't? What new information came out that suddenly scientifically made him change his mind?
Enough scientific evidence to disprove
You
what he
think
believed.
you think research was published in those 2 weeks?
Do I think the research? Well, not necessarily, but they could have, in their systems, looked at more research outside of that.
You don't think they should have done
They could have, in their systems, they could have looked at more research before they went, did a fucking press conference confidently stating that Tylenol causes autism, and Trump said the most insane shit I've ever heard in my entire fucking life. And then at the 2 weeks after, they looked around some more, you know, they found some other papers that they missed the first time and were like, oh, my bad, okay, we shouldn't have done that. God, like, like, how can you sit there and hold this position? How can you sit there and be this person? I can't believe it.
That before making a press conference to millions of people in the
the thing
United
is
States?
what actually happened is he said that there could be a possible link. He didn't just say Tylenol causes
FDA
autism.
commissioner went on Fox News and said causes.
He straight up said that
Straight
it
up
caused
says causes.
But then again, 2 weeks later, they went back and they said that that's not the case.
Yeah, but there was no new, like, I get, I'm trying to be fair. Let's say they said it causes it. And then in the middle of that, 2 weeks later, they published a new article that disproves, and they go, we learned, we need to take it back. I wouldn't judge them for that. But that didn't happen.
I mean,
man.
so often though, you do judge Kennedy for things that he doesn't necessarily believe anymore.
Like what?
And specifically, I was talking about that Kennedy, well, he said that half of China has diabetes, right?
Sure.
And so the actual percentage was 13% had diabetes, and then the remainder making up that half is actually has prediabetes. And so I don't think you should necessarily hold things like that against him. Because
You don't think I should hold the Secretary of Health and Human Services from getting statistics wrong over and over again?
Well, no, it's not. It's like if he has...
that's the most important thing for him. Well, he's in charge. He's the one making decisions.
The thing is, if he's conflicted by something and there's something that says something, I think it's honest if he would present that in front of the American people.
He's not conflicted. He just opens his mouth and says whatever the fuck he wants, like Trump. It's a disease with these people. They just say anything and then make this gigantic mess and then expect everyone to clean up after them. And that's why you fall for this shit and you're defending it. You're defending the head of the HHS, saying that the head of the HHS, most of the things he says are wrong. And you're defending that. Head of the HHS, most of the things he says are wrong, and you don't see a problem with that.
Right, but it didn't take me a lot of work to find out what the number was. Like, if I can find it out as a YouTuber, why can't the Secretary of Health and Human Services get the numbers right before making a... It's not like someone asked him off the cuff, what's the percentage? And they gotcha, you got it wrong. He presented it at a conference.
So simply for him presenting a study that contains nuance, you're going to have a problem with.
It's not he was presenting nuance. He's presenting inaccurate information that is very simple to fact check. I think it was a really productive conversation between folks who very much disagree with me. And I'm hoping today was an opportunity for them to see that doctors are interested in helping them, that the healthcare system could be revived, and there's absolutely opportunities for us to see eye to eye.
When there's rebellion, an empire is always going to call it misinformation, dishonesty, et cetera, all these things. So
yeah, and when disgusting piece of shit frauds usurp power and legitimate academics and experts call them out for the piece of shit frauds that they are, those frauds are going to train you, brainwashed moron, to say exactly what you're saying now. Oh my God, we're being persecuted. They're telling us that it's all propaganda against us. We're the victims. No, they're the ones brainwashing you. You are my least favorite person in this episode. I fucking hate this guy. You suck.
So if you are going to attempt to try to convince these people that you really have the truth, you can't frame things in a dishonest way like he did today.
Somehow the information has been weaponized and we're fighting. And that needs to end, and someone needs to be big enough to bridge that gap.
Instead of focusing on better transparency, more scientific rigor, we instead have an individual who doesn't quite understand science, someone who takes anecdote over hard data. And ultimately, that's going to make worse outcomes for all of us.
Okay, that was it. That was long, man. Holy shit. I think that the people in there were slightly less stupid than the anti-vax ones, than the anti-vaxxer people. I think that Mike was slightly more aggressive in this one. Only in that one, like in that one snippet, man, I wish that I'm sure that a lot of people gave him feedback of like, dude, come on, you're letting them steamroll you with some of this shit. And I wish that just, I get it. I get his thing. I get his thing of like, let's find all the common ground. But it's like, the thing is this. We want to talk about the pros and cons of every approach. And I know that there's tons of people out there that want to lecture me forever about the cons of my approach. And I've heard it all, trust me. But there are pros in that they don't give a fucking inch to the bullshit narrative that they're spewing. And I also want to talk about the cons of Dr. Mike's approach. Let's talk about the pros first. I think that he, I think that a handful of people in there left just slightly more informed or slightly more skeptical about the positions they came in there holding. I have no way of verifying that. It just that's the impression that I get. That and I agree that he would be better in general at producing that result in one-on-one discourse than me. But the con also is that there's just so much. He's just like, I agree Big Pharma sucks. I agree this sucks. I agree everything is again. I agree all this stuff. Where all, like, the main thing that ends up coming out is they're like, oh, okay, well, Dr. Mike is one of the good ones, but the whole thing is fucked and everything. And they just, like, kind of continue believing all the wrong, dumb, conspiratorial shit that they believe. Just, it's been slightly colored in. Like a little sliver of it is colored in like, oh, okay, I guess some doctors are pretty good. Dr. Mike's pretty good. And maybe there's some good doctors, but mostly doctors suck. And mostly all drugs and medications are bad and make you sick and all this. Like it doesn't... Like, it establishes rapport and brings the guard down, but it green lights most of their delusions. And so again, like, to be perfectly clear, I'm not like anti Dr. Mike. Like, that's his approach, and that's totally fine. And like I said, pros and cons to what he does, pros and cons to what I do. But I just think that we need to talk about this so that we can kind of, as a community, science communicators can just like be honest and cognizant about what those pros and cons are about our various approaches. And I don't know what we even do with that information. Just the first step is to just agree and acknowledge, like, the way that I do things, there's a certain pros and cons. The way he does it, ultimately, I'm kind of glad he did it and not me. I'm glad they picked him instead of me. Number one, as I said last time, I would have just pissed everyone off because I will not give an inch. I will not give an inch on this shit. Every single thing that these motherfuckers say, why do you believe that? Why? And just go Socratic and break them down until they just flip out and either punch me or leave. And so that's not good. But also, I have to admit, he obviously knows how the healthcare industry works better than I do. He's a doctor. So there were a lot of moments. There were a lot of moments where I'm like, I don't know how to talk about this, and he does. So he's a better choice for this stuff. I still would like to do one. If anyone from Jubilee, Surrounded, whatever it's called, is watching, hit me up again. You can find another topic that's a little bit less entrenched in bureaucracy that I won't be at a disadvantage. Yeah, I don't know. That was it. I hope you guys liked that. So many of you wanted to see that, and I did it. I hope that you liked it. And it's the holiday season. Let's move forward, hoping that articles of impeachment are being brought forward for RFK. I've been talking with Colette of Stand Up for Science, and I'm not under any kind of illusion that it will, like, RFK is not going to be. He's not even going to be impeached, let alone removed from office. But it's just and everybody leaving a comment saying nothing's going to happen. Yeah, okay, I agree with you. I'm not going to push back on anyone saying that. But it's just a first step. Like, just, I wish that the people in this fucking thing really understood how serious this is, how disgusting and how toxic and how harmful RFK is. They just don't get it. They really see him as this fucking champion hero standing up to the special. No, he is the special interest. He is the swamp. He is the toxic figure that is putting people's lives in jeopardy for profit. He is the thing that they think he's raging against. It's same with Trump. It's just, we have this this is a very serious situation. I don't know what's going to happen, but like, there's a lot at stake in this presidential term alone, because a lot of what happens is going to determine how Trump reacts when this term is up, what he's going to do, if he's going to even allow presidential elections to take place. If he does, he's obviously going to run. He's going to just pretend, no, I get to do a third term because I say so and I'm above the law. Like, we're really flirting with authoritarianism in a really fucked up way. And this war on science and expertise is a big part of it, and it hinges on public perception. It hinges on public opinion and the ability of these figures to brainwash these people into believing that they're the ones standing up for truth and justice, when in actuality they're just getting their money and fucking over everybody. So that's why I do what I do. Sounds like it's why Dr. Mike does what he does. It's why a lot of other science communicators do this as well. There's not enough of us. Need a lot more. But in the meantime, I'm going to continue dunking on these piece of shit frauds. I did the COVID lab leak. I'm going to do one on Peter McCullough. I'm going to do one on, trying my best to exonerate Fauci. I'm going to just keep running down the line. I might do a more of a zoom in on Jay Bhattacharya. I kind of talk about him in all these other videos too. Maybe he deserves his own. I'm just going to go down the line and shit on all of these fucking frauds the same way I did to, like, Discovery Institute, right? The Discovery Institute playlist, I need just like the same thing for Bhattacharya and McCary and all these assholes. McCary talking about like it's an AIDS denialist. Like, all these people are AIDS denialists, or HIV denialists, I should say. It's insane. But yeah, and it's late. I'm tired. I'm going to bed. I hope that was fun. And I will see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.